We ready, sir?
And I've also done a real estate transaction.
Thank you all for coming. Call to order the June meeting of the Historical Group Preservation Commission. Roll call.
Certainly. Jim Morrison. Here. Gregory Rush.
Here.
Molly Bales.
Here.
Trip Ure.
Here.
James Bisbee.
Here.
Michael Weeka.
Here.
Tim Thompson.
Here.
And Richard Parsons is absent. And our new member, John Schmid, is excused. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We have no minutes to approve.
Correct.
No other items. You want to swear in speakers? Now, I know there are a lot of folk here tonight, and probably some of you would like to speak. As we go through the projects, just a couple of things to keep in mind. To speak pro or con on a given project, you must have, number one, received a notice of the hearing to present evidence, which means you're in a particular area surrounding the property, or two, that you have to justify that you have relevant information about the project to be able to speak about it. Is that it?
So it's a two-pronged test. One, we presume that property owners or individuals who live within 100 feet of the project are presumed to have standing. Yeah. And those individuals will have received a letter or a notice about tonight's hearing. Yeah. In the event that someone did not receive a notice because they live outside of that physical parameter, if they can demonstrate that they have special damages, that their property or their interest will be materially impacted by this project, either positively or negatively, and they can articulate that and otherwise would have competent material substantial information, then they are presumed to have standing and can offer testimony during the hearings.
Okay.
However, if individuals just want to make general public comments, there is a section on the agenda for general public comments for individuals who may not have standing to offer testimony during the hearings.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to ask those who intend to testify tonight, whether it's your project or you're speaking about it, to come up, and we'll need to swear you in.
Okay, so anyone who's going to be speaking for the project, please come forward. All the way to the front, please.
Right.
Not too much hiding behind your laptop.
Okay, I think we got everybody. Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God? Thank you.
Okay, now, before you sit down, please print your name and your address on this form.
And while you all are doing that, I'm going to go through a little bit of background information about our commission. Historic Preservation Commission is a public commission appointed by the City of New Bern's Board of Aldermen. It's responsible for preserving and safeguarding New Bern's locally designated historic districts, downtown and Riverside, based on U.S. Department of Interior standards, state statutes, city ordinances, and New Bern's historic guidelines. Two of the major tasks of HPC include approving applications for a certificate of appropriateness and preventing demolition of historic structures due to neglect. We hold quasi-judicial hearings on an application for a certificate of appropriateness. The Commission hears sworn testimony and evidence provided by the applicant, by parties who receive notice of the hearing, and by others who can justify that they have relevant evidence and are directly affected by the application. The Commission cannot consider comments based on personal likes or dislikes, hearsay, or personal opinion that cannot be directly related to specific historic guidelines. Likewise, the Commissioners will refrain from stating personal opinions, personal likes and dislikes, or hearsay during the hearing. We make our decisions based on the application and the testimony and the evidence presented by on the project that relate to the historic guidelines. The process that we're going to follow for each case, the HBC administrator will provide an overview of the application. The applicant's representative will have an opportunity to comment on the application. Proponents and opponents who receive notice of the hearing can present evidence. Rebuttal is allowed by the applicant and by proponents and opponents who receive notice. Others who can justify that they have relevant information and will be directly affected can present evidence. HBC administrator will present the staff's findings and recommendations. The applicant or their representative has an opportunity to make final comments. The commission then has a chance to discuss the project. I will ask then for a motion to deny or approve the application based on the findings of fact, and we'll have a discussion on the motion and a vote. We're ready for project number one?
Okay. So our first application tonight is for 302 Avenue A. This is the application itself. And for Matthew and Melissa Halton. And we'll look over the application is filled out with regard to description and guidelines and materials. And then on the second page, the relevant check boxes and the signature and date of the applicant. So this is in effect, I'm going to make this a little smaller, it seems to be going too fast. This is in effect a reapproval of or re-review of a previously approved project that has not been changed in any way, and other than the applicant's address and the signature on the bottom of the application. So just to give you an idea what the COA entailed, there were no conditions at the time, and it was even extended for 1 year, but then after that 1 year it lapsed, and so now they're looking for reapproval. So the application at the time included this information here, showing similar historic district examples. The project is a new garage in the backyard of their property. We'll see that in a minute. They provided some old Sanborn maps and delineate the kind of the work area for where this garage will go. There's currently a rusty shed in the corner of the property that they would like to remove in order to put in the garage. And the site is at the corner of Avenue A and North Craven Street, with the driveway coming off North Craven Street. So they have some photographs of the site here on the left, where you can see, at least especially in the winter, the metal shed, and in the summer with some of the leaves and stuff on the trees. But they're also pointing out the 2-strip tire lanes in the backyard, and a curb cut's already there. So here they finally show the site and the proposed garage location in the blue dashed line here. And the white dashed line is the same as from before, kind of showing, delineating their backyard. And so in this case, Craven Street's on the top right, and Avenue A is the lower right. So here's the beginning of the drawings. It shows in the upper right the front elevation of the garage, 2 doors, 2 lights, and a window for the attic space there. And then on the left side, it's a blank wall. I'm sorry, I guess that's the right side. And then the back wall has also another window in the attic, and then the southeast side facing the house has the doorway on the right and two small windows on the left. And also, again, another exterior light. They provided all the appropriate, or spelled out all the appropriate guidelines. We'll zoom through those. Okay. So then we'd be ready for the, the zoning and inspections review. The zoning administrator indicated that a zoning permit would be required for the project, and it seems to meet the requirements of the land use ordinance. The chief building inspector indicated that it will require a building permit. Building and floodplain permits are required. So then, when you're ready, I'm ready with the staff report.
Okay. Is the applicant or their representative would like to comment? Okay.
Yes, sir. I apologize on this Matt's cutoff for updating the COA application in section 3. I did add a note related to the building material. The siding is wood siding with the measurements and roof angles matching the already facing exterior of the house with the siding and the windows on the same side, but it is wood and not concrete.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any proponents or opponents of the project that have standing who would like to present evidence? Seeing none. Others who can justify that they have relevant information wish to speak to the project? Seeing none. We'll have your recommendations.
Okay. All right, so these are the, this is a staff report for the project at 302 Avenue A. The historic property name is A.M. Baker House, and it was built around 1897. It is a contributing building in the historic district. And the National Registry inventory description from 1988, the relevant portions of it are the 1 1/2 story frame house with a high hipped roof of standing seam tin and 1-story projecting bays on the side elevations. An engaged 1-story porch with slender classical columns on brick piers and square in section beaded balusters spans the 2-bay facade where the entrance is recessed and continues along the northeast elevation. The pedimented projecting bay on that elevation is semi-hexagonal and has wood shingle siding in the gable end. The most striking feature of the house is the large gable roof dormer centered above the facade. Square in section wooden posts support the arched shingle-sided gable end, and a square in section baluster railing spans a balcony serving an upper floor entrance. Surviving original windows are 1/1 sash. And then in the Sandbeck book from 1988, the most relevant things are only that he mentions the Queen Anne style and a picturesque cottage. So for this project, it's to include reapproval of an expired COA for a new garage in the secondary AVC. So we submit the following historic district guidelines as appropriate to this application. For utilities, 2.3.1, 2, and 3. For fences and garden walls, 2.5.6. For accessory structures, 2.6.1 and 2. For parking, 2.7.1 and 2. For design principles, 3.1.1, 2, 4, and 5. For walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.4 and 5. For windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.2. For paint, 5.4.2, 3, and 4. And for contemporary materials, 5.5.6. Statements of reason based on the information contained in the application in staff's judgment are: 1, the structure is a contributing resource in the tight weave development pattern. 2, the project is an accessory structure within the secondary and tertiary AVCs. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, the project is not incongruous with the guidelines. The HPC may want to consider the following conditions. 1, the only one I have listed here, revised plans according to the changes agreed upon at the hearing shall be submitted by the applicant to the HPC staff for approval according to the guidelines and prior to the final inspection by the Building Inspections Division. And that's our staff report.
Okay, thank you. Discussion, questions?
We've approved this before because it certainly meets, it's certainly consistent with other garage types that we've approved in the past. As far as I know, there are no planning or zoning ordinance changes or guideline changes that conflict with what we approved before. It certainly meets guidelines 2.6.1 and 2.6.2 concerning secondary structures or accessory structures being secondary to the primary structures. So I think this certainly still meets the guidelines.
I'd agree, and I had a quick question for Matthew. We talked about this in design review, but thank you for adding those notes. I think that came out of our discussion. But for the record, other than those notes, are there any changes of substance to your application as it was reviewed before?
No, there were no.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Entertain a motion to approve the project.
I'll try. I move to find the application for the project at 302 Avenue A to be not incongruous with the New Bern Code of Ordinances, Section 15.411 through 15.429, and New Bern's Historic District standards based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Section utilities, sections 2.3.1, 2.3.2, 2.3.3. Fences and garden walls, 2.5.6. Accessory structures, 2.6.1 and 2.6.2. Parking, 2.7.1, 2.7.2. Design principles, 3.1.1, 3.1.2, 3.1.4, and 3.1.5. Walls, trim, and ornamentations, 4.2.4, 4.2.5. Windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.2. Paint, 5.4.2, 5.4.3, and 5.4.4. Contemporary materials, 5.5.6. The finding of fact, based on the information contained in the application, is that the structure, one, the structure at this address is a contributing resource in the tight weave development pattern. 2, the proposed project is an accessory structure in the secondary and tertiary AVCs. The proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the Historic District Design Principles and Standards, aka guidelines. The zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, this application is not incongruous with the Historic District guidelines. With the condition that the changes that we talked this evening agreed to at this meeting be submitted to the HPC staff according to the design standards and prior to the beginning of the installation of the project.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion's approved. Motion to issue a COA for the project.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We issue a COA for the project. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We'll issue the COA. 1219 National Avenue.
While we're waiting, I received a letter. I'm standing. I'm within 100 feet of the project. I've also had real estate transactions with the applicant, but I'm not involved with this project. So, if you want to recuse me, or do you want me to stay?
you've had some discussion with the project outside of our process?
No.
No, just received a letter?
Yeah. But I've had real estate transactions before.
But
Mr.
not-
Rush, have you had transactions with the applicant as it relates to this particular property?
I have not.
Okay. Were those real estate transactions within the last 30 or 60 days?
They might have been within 60 days, yeah.
Okay. You also mentioned that you've received a letter.
I did.
Have you formed an opinion about this project based on information that you have already received without hearing any of the evidence tonight?
No, I have not.
Do you have any concerns about your ability to be a fair and impartial decision maker and base your decision solely based on the evidence and information proffered in tonight's hearing?
I feel confident I can.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, you might ask if there is any objection from the applicant.
Any objections to, from the applicant, I'm sorry. Do you have an objection?
No, I do not have.
No, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you might ask if anyone withstanding who might otherwise be a party, if they have an objection to Mr. Rush serving tonight.
Anyone withstanding on this project, and we've discussed what that is, have an objection to his participation in the deliberation? Seeing none, okay.
And if none of the members on the board have any concerns about Mr. Rush's ability to be fair and impartial, then he can stay. If someone has concerns about Mr. Rush's ability to be fair and impartial, then you can entertain a motion to excuse him from voting and participating on this particular item.
Does anybody have that concern and care to do a motion?
Mr. Chair, I have no concern.
Okay, we're ready to go.
All right. So this is the application for 1219 National Avenue. The property owner is Thomas L. Edwards Construction Incorporated. Their application is to construct a single-family home and garage. And they've attached all the various information for the rest of those categories there. They checked off all the boxes, and Mr. Edwards has signed here and dated it. So to give some context to this, I've provided some aerial view here first, and then I'll have some photographs, street view photographs in a minute. So the property is highlighted here in blue at the corner of National Avenue and B Street, and it's currently this vacant lot. If you've been around, you're very familiar with this. And you can see on that same block as we had, say, north on National Avenue on the same side, there's 3 more houses tight together, and then 2 more houses that are on larger lots and are wider loops farther up there. Whereas on the other side of B Street is a large house on the corner. This is Mr. Rush's house. And then there's some other houses farther down. Whereas then across the street on the block between Avenue A and Avenue B, the ones across the street starting at Avenue B are on smaller size lots, more medium sized lots, and are also quite close together with some space between them as we go down towards the south and then towards the north. I'm going to move this down. The actual setback reference or primary and setback reference block is this block here, starting at the corner of Avenue B, a somewhat square-shaped house in plan, and then there's a bit of a gap, and then 3 or 4 or 5 houses quite close together, and then finally the last one on the end on the corner has a little bit more space around it. So that's the context in plan view in aerial, from the aerial. And if you have any questions about any of the other, I'm sorry, there is more context. Sorry to belabor this. But also B Street is also part of the context for this project. And immediately behind, there's essentially a vacant, almost vacant lot with basically an accessory structure in the back. Then the next one is a house on a somewhat wider lot, as is the other two on that same block as well. The next house, you can see here in plan view, is quite a bit farther apart. Those, however, are not in the historic district. The historic district boundary is right here after the edge of the vacant lot. Then on the other side of that, of B Street, already mentioned the one on the corner. Then the next few going up the street are somewhat smaller lots and smaller houses that are somewhat closer together and closer to the street in this particular case. So, all right. Next, we can then see some of that more close up if we need to. So some of the existing photographs, or at least from 2012, is what Street View had available for us, and it hasn't changed much. We have basically a large vacant lot with a couple of trees, some larger and some smaller. And as we move down National Avenue, you have an idea of what the maybe a better idea what some of these plants look like, but also the proximity to the neighbor, especially as we move then to the, okay, good. All right, and then back along the other side, you can see the, the neighbor's house and broadside in the back. And the streetscape area there, and then if you go to the back corner of the, or the, I guess it's going to be the southwest corner of the property, looking back across the property here. This tree, by the way, has since been removed recently. It is no longer there by the city. And so now moving up north on National Avenue, the neighbors' houses are shown here for context. You can see that, and we can see in the aerial view they were set quite a ways back from the sidewalk, and you can see that here even more so. Then, let's see, this is across this street. No, wait, sorry. Yes. So then across the street on National Avenue, these houses, give you an idea of what those houses are like. Then as you cross Avenue B, and continuing now, we're going south on National Avenue. These are the houses directly across the street from the property, these two. Plus then the ones that are on National Avenue, south of the property, but on the west side. This is the house on the corner back in 2012, no longer looking like that today. And then the two other houses to the south of that. So those give you some ideas of the context. This is along National Avenue. Now this is going up E Street on the south side. That is the house on the corner with its garage, which happens to be pushed up right up against the sidewalk. And then the next two houses up B Street on that same side. These are the other two. These two are not in the historic district. And then across the street from those two on B Street are the other two houses on the block on the same side as the subject property. And then finally, this is a view of the partially vacant lot with the accessory building in the back. And the subject property on the right. All right, so the applicant has provided a parcel survey and site plan map here that they are in the process of revising. Their surveyor is not able to manage to get the work done in time for the meeting tonight. So the specific changes they need to make are with regard to the setbacks, which have been explained to them, and we will probably be discussing the position of the garage on the site as well. But if we need that for the position of the house, we can, and garage, we can use that map later. So now,
I'm sorry, Matt, the setback issue, can you go back a second? I'm not clear on what you were talking about there.
okay. So in the historic district for residential uses, there's special requirements that actually allow for a much larger area, buildable area on a property. So the side yard setback is not 10 but 5 feet. The rear yard setback is 6 feet, which could be this one, or vice versa. That could be the 5-foot one for a side and this a rear. Depends however they want to do it, but it's a 1 foot difference, doesn't matter. And here they show 25 feet. The front yard setback then is used on both streets because this is a corner lot. Front yards are always on the street side of any property. And so those are measured according to the setbacks of the other buildings on the same block on both sides of the street. So that's why it did take a little bit of time to mention how far back properties were from each other, from the street, and then also we'll be talking about from each other later. But for this plan, they should be revising this to show there's a range in which the building must be set. It has to be set between the minimum and the maximum setback of existing buildings on that block.
And do you know what those numbers are?
On both sides, no. So that's what we're waiting for. We suspect this one here is close. The front yard on National Avenue is probably pretty close because we did see some houses that were very far back. So perhaps this far back. And then other ones that were a lot closer. So I think we're probably good on this side. On B Street, that's still yet to be figured out.
So for purposes of discussion, we're going to assume that there's a condition that when the final survey comes in, it meets the guidelines.
Yes, you
that
can.
Would be a condition of...
You can if you choose, yes.
Yeah.
Make that a condition.
Okay.
All right. Let's see.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yep. I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
All right. So then this would be the the foundation plan here first. Primarily you see the house and a detached garage, and then also a section through the structure, which does show some important features are the concrete block is covered with a brick veneer. And then also points out many of the materials. Then the first floor plan here shows, I guess the important features for us are the front porch, and then there's a rear porch as well. There's a breezeway which connects the house to the garage, and then that's pretty much the most. Oh, and on the left-hand side here we have a room which is popped out 1 foot 8 inches from the otherwise main part of the wall. Let's see. Second floor, not much here. We'll notice that a lot of this is handled with dormers and sloping roofs. Probably not talking much about that. All right, so now we have the actual elevation. So the front elevation's here on the bottom. So you see the front porch with the brick piers coming halfway up, and then the columns on top of that, and the balustrades, the steps, the front dormer right over the, centered on the front door. And then a side dormer on the right. Then the other interesting or notable features here are the brick foundation that I mentioned earlier, but it's also punctuated with some of these, punctuated is maybe not the right word. There's sections of that wall that are set in. So we see 3 of them here, inset from the main face of the brick. And then that same feature happens all the way around the building. So this is the back of the house here. Looking at the end or the side of the garage here, and then the rest of the house behind the garage. There, and we can see here the rear porch as it faces the rear yard. This is shown screened in, whereas out front you can see it's not the gray color underneath on the porch here. That's open on the front porch. So also, I guess on the front elevation here we see the 1 foot 8 inch extension here on the left, and then their proposed extension of the side corner of the garage beyond. What else do we see here? You can see all the windows are vertical. All of these cases, the roofing is asphalt shingle. The siding is the concrete hardy board siding, and trim is also the hardy board material, concrete hardy board. Then we go to the sides. So the left side facing B Street is this large gable roof. So this counts more or less as a 1.5 story structure. And we can see the windows, the siding. We actually have a gable vent at the very top here. You can see the front porch on the right, the balusters and railing, and then the garage itself separated from the house with its 2 garage doors, 2 lights, and everything is the asphalt shingles. Then on the opposite side, facing the neighbor, is you can see the front porch on the left, facing National Avenue, and that large gable section. Then this cutout here is for that essentially inset back porch. And see the back side of the garage is plain. We have our vertical windows again, or vertical or square windows. The various dormers and their roofs. And let's see, that's pretty much it there for now. Let's see. Now, at the design review meeting, you asked the applicants to prepare something about trying to allow them to have the garage located where they had proposed in that meeting. So they provided this document here. I have to go over it with you because no one has had a chance to look at it since it arrived this morning or late in the morning today. So I'm going to go over this. So the topic is garage placement in relation to house placement. Currently, the garage plane is left of the primary house plane when you look at it from the front. Reasoning for keeping the home and garage location as is. 1, the goal of the placement of the house and garage is to maximize backyard square footage due to 1219 National Avenue being a shallower lot than the others on the street. Bullet 1, the option to move the house to the left to match the garage plane has been discussed, but this would then make it so the house will not be centered on the lot, which is referenced in the following picture under the HPC Guideline 2.2. I have included the email that I replied to them with regard to this presentation. So we'll just go over this first and then go over my email reply. 2, view of the backyard Moving the garage to be on the same plane as the home's main left wall will obscure the view of the backyard from within the home. Their living room actually has windows looking out onto that back porch on the south side of that back porch, and so very close to the back corner of the garage. If we want to look at the plan, we can look at that later. 3, the following photos were taken in the historic district of accessory structures that are not on the matching plane of the main house. So I think they misunderstood that we required it to be on plane with it. But so they've showed various homes that are not indeed on plane with the face of the building, but set back. And so that's, of course, we know that's okay. So then, so for my reply, I indicated the I should make this bigger now. The first bullet here, the illustration from the standards and guidelines is to show the spacing between the structures, hence the dimension lines. In fact, given that the neighboring houses are so close together, see the aerial view below, that illustration implies your house should be within 10 feet or so of the neighboring house. Or if you look at the rest of the block, thereby adding 2 more relevant wider lots, one on a corner, the house could be required to be the minimum distance from B Street, like the one along C Street. The HPC might not require the minimum, but it might give them justification to expect the house to move close to B Street. And then the second bullet was regarding the other photos that they provided. Yes, all those other garages are behind the face of the house. The standard is they have to be anywhere behind the street-facing face of the house, the primary AVC, in the secondary or tertiary AVCs. So then I provided these 2 illustrations at the top are from the guidelines standards. And so on the left it shows that a garage behind the house, yes. And then there's a photo provided in the margin of that section on accessory structures. Historic outbuildings and accessory structures like this garage add to the character and diversity of the historic districts. And then I pulled up a recent street view of that very garage relative to the house to show that the house is indeed in front of the garage. You can see here the fence is a short distance from the corner, whereas here it's a longer distance. So it gives you an idea that it's not in plane, but behind the plane of the house. So, and this also was is our illustration in the guidelines about the explaining what is primary, secondary, and tertiary areas of concern. And there are 2 corner lots shown on this illustration, which show the primary does wrap around both sides of that kind of property, and the lines are extended from the main face of the structures. So this, for example, on this lower left property, this section that's inside the primary is actually the open front porch, supposedly. And same with this one on this corner here, the one facing down towards the bottom is an open front porch, whereas apparently the illustration here indicates an addition which has an enclosed space on this side, and therefore the primary is extended from the face of that wall. Or at least that's the way we all understand it. So, so there are options to address when we want to address that.
Before you move on, Matt, can you go back to your first bullet? What you do?
Back to what?
Your first bullet on your response.
This one here? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Moving on. They've also subsequently provided, since the design review meeting, a landscape plan. So hopefully you've had a chance to review these. I see they're essentially planting around the building here. I pointed out that the air conditioning cannot be along the B Street facade of the building. So I'm thinking they may have an alternate in mind for that. All right. So you probably remember from the meeting, they also provided a series of slides on the materials for the project, and they updated those according to some of the comments that were made. So, for example, here we have brick veneer and steps, and then the concrete porch with a brick foundation, the siding, and in this case they've indicated the style is 7 1/4 inch boards with a 6 inch reveal and a smooth finish. The boxing and trim is also hardy board, smooth finish throughout, and we're talking about the areas of the rakes, eaves, beams, fascia, corner, and window and door trim. Trim dimensions are referenced in the plans. Porch ceilings, standard pine bead board, front and back porch ceilings. The handrails are treated pine, painted white. Pickets to be centered on the handrail with no more than 3 inch distance between each picket, which is guideline 4.4, and that's for the front and back porch. The columns are brick and AZEC, and they give you the dimensions. And the front porch columns for the plans, and the brick is same as the other brick throughout the house, and the AZEC is to be white. For the roofing, mentioned asphalt shingles, the entire roof. Just needs to be a dark color palette. For the windows, they are solid vinyl double hung, 2 panes over 1, and they have the 3-part grid with the 1 inside, 1 outside, and 1 between the panes. Front door, primarily it'll be a painted wood door with opaque stain, with 1 side light window on each side of the door. The back door is fiberglass door, paint grade, and it's a full glass door with a transom window above it. And the door to the breezeway is also a fiberglass door, full glass, and painted. And then the garage doors are 2 painted aluminum insulated doors, carriage house style, and the panel style is not necessarily indicative of selection. It's what they could probably Photoshop in there. They also provided a proposal for the replacement of the knee wall along the property line with their neighbor to the north. The knee wall runs the length of the property between the 2 properties, and these are some photos that we saw the last time. It's not a retaining wall, has no structural significance or footers. It's unstable and deteriorating, interferes with placement of fence and landscaping, detracts from the appearance of the property, and grading of the property may impact its integrity. So they're proposing for fencing. I'm not going to make this bigger. The lettering has gotten smaller. And we need to see the colors here. The lines in green up in the upper left, upper right here, is a line of landscaping that they're proposing. Then at apparently the front face of the house, they will be coming out with a privacy fence across to the boundary, and then back to an existing masonry wall that's back there, coming close to the corner of the property. And then going around the corner of the property, that masonry wall will remain. And then starting at the end of that one, they're looking to extend the existing block and aluminum wall along the rear property line. So that's this brown line, out apparently to the property line. And then at the point at which it reaches the face of the garage, they would like to then restart with the wood privacy fence. Talking earlier today, they're also planning on probably putting some kind of fenced, actually gate across the breezeway. The intent here is to provide an enclosure for a dog.
Before we move off fences, can we talk about the height of all those?
They didn't indicate, so. Oh wait, here we go. I'm sorry. They're on this. Good segue. So the proposed fence, the wood fence, is to be 5 foot tall. And we see the other details there, staggered 1x6 pickets. For the front, it's a 4 foot single gate, so I'm guessing that's 4 foot wide. And for the rear, must be along the side of the garage, then it'd be a 10-foot double gate. So they provide a bit of a mock-up here for that. So along the neighbor's property, that 5-foot wooden fence would be along here like that. And because they didn't like that angle, I guess, they also represented it here. And you can see the landscaping on the right side of that as well. You also see that little knee wall that they were talking about removing, also in the upper left corner here. I can barely see it, but. And then they want to, you can notice the neighbor has that masonry wall I was talking about, which actually has gaps between the piers, which are infilled with some aluminum fencing. They would like to,
that's the one
I suppose they or their neighbor, depending on whose property it is.
And maybe the applicant can talk about that. That's the one. I don't see any height on that one.
Right. They would like to continue this one. So that would be one we should get more information about, especially with regard to on whose property it is and whether or not the neighbor agrees to that if it's on their property. So they would like to reuse the knee wall, the dilapidated knee wall blocks to fill in under the front porch. They actually provided some very nice data on wood porches and concrete porches. Apparently there's 21% in the Riverside area in this study are concrete. All right, so existing historic Riverside district homes have 2 variations of concrete porches they show here. Slab without trim, and so there's a number of photographs there. And then concrete with brick trim. So then they're making the case for reusing the block for fill underneath the porch. And additional considerations for that. And then some of the guidelines reiterated here, including some of the narrative information. All right, so now we'll move to the zoning and inspections review for 1219, for the project here at 1219 National Avenue. The zoning administrator has indicated that it seems to meet the requirements of the land use ordinance, just needs a zoning permit. And then the chief building inspector has indicated that it will require a building permit. and then we're ready with our staff report.
Okay. The applicant like to add anything to that? Not?
Not at this time.
Well, the only thing I want to mention, I know there's some discrepancy in the offset of the garage, and I'm not sure what your decision is going to be on that, but I do have some remedies in mind after I hear what you guys will decide, the offset being on the main plane of the house.
Okay.
Can you answer a question on that fence that's on the back, the one that's partially blocked, partially filled in?
Yes.
What's the height of that?
It's around 6 feet.
So your proposal is to have a 6-foot fence go the whole way to the property line?
Yeah, the neighbor to the right of this lot owns the fence, and he was wanting to take it on to his property line on that side of B Street. And then we were just going to tie in from our garage corner with our wood fence to his fence.
So that isn't, you recognize that isn't the primary AVC. There's a limit on how high that fence can be?
Right.
So
you would meet, though, the limit in terms of your property, but the neighbor would have to come forward with a project.
He's prepared to do that.
He's prepared to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
So the neighbor has been talking to me even before this application was submitted about extending his fence and how far he could go at what height.
Yeah.
So he's also looking at whether or not he's going, because it's currently 2 separate properties. The one on B Street is separate from their property on National Avenue. They're considering whether or not they should or shouldn't combine the two legally into one L-shaped lot. And so whether or not that would provide them with a different kind of situation for that.
But for tonight's discussion, all we're considering is the property of this applicant.
That's correct.
So we are not considering that extension of that fence along the neighbor's property the whole way up to the property line?
I want to believe that his fence would actually, if he does that, it'll be just on his property line. I don't think it falls onto ours.
Right.
So it would be his responsibility, I assume, to get all that approval.
Right.
So you're not planning on building anything, extending that fence? I thought
Well,
if
he can get it approved, we're just going to tie our fence to it.
Correct.
To create the boundary there.
But you're not building that fence?
No.
Okay.
So that's
Should not be a part of the application.
Right.
Yes, and I guess that was a long way around to answer the question.
We're prepared, if he doesn't do that, we're going to continue our fence back and tie it in to where his starts now.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see, what he's going to do on that.
Okay, so we're not approving any of your fence back there?
And not at this point.
Not at this
We
point.
need to see
That would be
exactly how that's going to fall.
Future date.
Right.
Okay.
So this keeps on getting murkier and murkier. There seem to be a lot of loose ends. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. And I don't want to be the stick in the mud, but I'm going to move that we continue this to the July 16th, 2025 hearing here in City Hall. The purpose for the continuance is to allow the applicant to resolve where the garage is relative to the house. That was a big part of our discussion during design review, as well as some setback issues apparently that staff has brought up, and straighten out some fencing issues in terms of what's in the application and what's not in the application. That meeting will be held at 5:30 p.m. in this room.
Based on what we submitted.
There's a motion on
Is there a second for this motion?
I second that because I'm concerned about the side yards, especially. How can we decide where the house is without knowing the side yards and the setbacks?
Okay. Any other points of discussion on that?
Just a question of discussion. So do you think as a board we want to postpone, or you think that we can condition a motion to include all of these things that are conditions for in a motion for approval of the
Not to put words in
application.
his mouth, but I think he thinks
Yeah,
there's
We're
enough.
going to end up hearing this twice,
We're going to hear it twice. Yeah.
because something's going to come out of that that's unexpected. The problem with trying to condition our way to approval is the conditions start getting long and complicated, which makes it hard to navigate. And that puts more burden on Matt to sort out what we were thinking.
Yeah.
Not unlike if the neighbor does his fence, or if he doesn't do the fence. Yeah.
I thought they were taking the fence off, the back fence
Yeah,
off.
I'm just saying that's an example of the same kind of an issue.
Greg, Commissioner, but if you take it off, then you have to substitute something in. So we would be approving extension of their fence until and unless the neighbor does, and then it would be a, now, I think that part of it is probably conditional, but I agree with Tripp, some of the setbacks, I'm a little bit squeamish on, just because we don't know what those actual locations are, to know whether we're within. So that would have to be conditioned for sure.
Yeah.
And I did have a question while you're there. The placement of the garage, does that also impact where the breezeway is and how it connects to the main part of the house and the shed dormers?
Yeah,
and
it
the
does.
windows?
Okay, I'm going to call for a vote on this motion. Okay. All in favor, state aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Okay. We'll continue to the next meeting, and it would be very helpful to come to the design review again with a good handle on the loose ends.
Okay, thank you.
That's July 2nd.
Thank you.
At the other place, not here.
Okay, 516 Pollock.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This is the application for 516 Pollock Street for Joseph and Susan DiStefano and Local Builders LLC. And they've provided various information on the application where appropriate. The check boxes as appropriate, and signed and dated. And both owners and contractor are here tonight. The application also includes this little bit of explanation, added information that all material is to be number 1 KDAT pine. All moldings will be exact replication of existing in all aspects. Minor exterior changes will be in the same material as is on the existing structure, and new doors will be all wood construction per the plans. All right. So again, to provide the aerial context here, this project primarily is just to change some windows into doors and elevate some window sills, and then also modify the rear enclosed porch into a new open porch and relocate the stairways for it and the fence. So here we have, for example, you can see the space around the house is rather generous, especially compared to its neighbors. And if we need reference to any of that information, we can come back to that. And that's a close-up of the actual immediate proximity and the site itself. So also some reference and context photos of the actual structure from the corner. It's well known with the 2-story columns here on the front, and the overall appearance and style of the structure. I also took this photograph here to point out this door does actually have shutters on the door. So I know we talked about that the last time. Let me see. I can't see it there, darn. So this is then, as we go around the side, the porte cochere here on the right, and the porch wraps around from the front to the side with its own secondary or one-story roof over it on this side, and all the way around to the back on this photograph, you can't see it, is the back porch that we're talking about for today. This is another angle of that same, and you can start to see the back porch here behind the porte cochere from the street. And then I did notice that both of these, I guess this window here behind the column had the shutters already closed, and then this doorway here also has shutters that are closed. Otherwise, every window has shutters. Okay, so now we're going to see the drawings. So this is a drawing of the front of the house, existing, and there are proposed to be no changes. This actually flattens everything out because this is the porte cochere here, which, as we know, is actually pretty far back from the front facade. Let's see what else. All right, yes, here's a good one. We will hear later about something called louvered vents above the windows. They're talking about this up here in the frieze on the second floor. It's just something that I want to point out now because it might be a question in somebody's mind later. So this is the existing right elevation. We see on that side the wraparound side porch. We have a side porch on the right. That's the rear side porch, and then we have this side porch. I don't know. Anyway, at the porte cochere, and currently there are two windows there, shown here, and then the enclosed rear enclosed porch, and its stairway coming off on the left-hand side, shown here, existing, and then the proposed for this elevation is to change those two windows into two doors with dormers in order to fill out the existing opening without changing the opening in any way. And then on the rear porch here, a number of things are happening, including removing the enclosure parts, but moving the steps from the side to in this case, the front of the porch. Also relocating the fencing that's along there, and also pushing the roof of that porch up to be such so that the eave matches the eave of the roof immediately next to it. So we'll compare that with this one here, for example. See that? All right. Then on the back, so it's from the back, this is the existing rear elevation, and they're just pointing to part of the fence here. We'll see that in plan view, though, to explain that. There's one thing to note is this particular window here, it is to have its sill elevated, so we'll see that in a second. There we go. Let's go a little bit more. There we go. So there, the sill is elevated, the roof is elevated for the porch. The balusters here are shown for the new balusters for the porch, for the rear porch are shown here. The side view of the steps for that porch, and then also showing now the more of the fencing that's there. Here's the existing side elevation that faces Metcalf Street, and we'll see that there's actually no changes to be done on this elevation. So then here's our plan view for the first floor. So on the left is the front of the house out along Pollock Street, and the top is Metcalf Street. So we have No changes on the front facade, and on the side here, it shows the two doors that are to become, or the two windows that are to become two doors at the porch there, the porch there. And then on that elevation, the changes to the front, to the enclosed porch becoming a open covered porch, and then the changes to the fencing here as well. They're relocating some of the pieces and extending, making a Z or S to the plan view of the fencing, whereas right now it just goes straight ahead into the side of the porch. And now we also see in plan view the steps for the porch and the walkway at the bottom of the porch. And so this becomes a gate here, which we saw, maybe you remember seeing that in the elevation. There's a gate here for in the fence. Also to note is the doors, the existing doors for the porch will be replaced by two doors that they're taking out of the inside of the house and turning into two swinging, essentially French doors here for the dining room. And then for the second floor, the only change on the second floor is that this window on the left-hand side of the second floor they will be closing the shutters and then filling the window behind so that they can actually add a wall up against that window. So that's the only difference on the second floor relevant to us. There are obviously some other things going on inside. All right. Then they provided some photographs also. So these are the two windows at the porte cochere. So those would become two doors. This is the existing enclosed porch. Make it bigger. There you go. And so you can see here the steps on the left instead of the front, instead of what will now be the front. The fence running into the side of the thing will be moved. So this section here gets shifted over to align with the corner, and then does a zigzag across here. So more of the same in a minute. Got another one that's and the third one, which is actually just a close-up. All right. So you can see especially in this case, you can see there are some details in the woodwork around the top and the columns and the bottom of the porch. All right. These are the double doors to become the French doors. And then for our zoning and inspections review, the zoning administrator has said that it seems to meet the requirements of the land use ordinance and a zoning permit is required. And the chief building inspector says that it will require a building permit. Okay, and then we're ready with our staff report.
Okay. The owner or the representative care to comment? You're pointing at each other. Would either of you want to comment? No? You don't need to.
No, you don't have to.
No comment?
Okay.
Okay. Are there proponents or opponents to this project who would like to be heard, who meet the guidelines that we talked about earlier in the meeting? Hearing none? Okay.
All right.
Ready for your findings?
So for the staff report for 516 Pollock Street, the historic property name and date is the Charles T. Watson House, first built in 1882 and then remodeled or revised in 1915. It is a contributing structure And the National Register inventory description from 2003 indicates that this is an Italianate style, 2 stories, 3 bays wide, 2 bays deep, 2-story bay window in the west elevation, full height front portico, 1-story side porch, vents, brackets in frieze, that's what I was talking about earlier, what is that? Then there's the low-pitched hip roof, interior chimney, and a 1-story rear wing. For Sandbeck, his description in 1988 was a little bit more descriptive. Built in 1882 and given its monumental portico circa 1915, the Charles T. Watson House is a lone but proud survivor standing on a portion of Pollock Street once lined by turn-of-the-century houses belonging to prosperous merchants of the period. The Italianate style main block of the house was built for Charles Thomas Watson, a prominent dealer in fish, oysters, turtles, and country produce, between 1893 and 1898. Watson added 2-story porches with similar sawnwork ornament across the front and along both sides of the house, creating a wonderful gallery effect. It was circa 1915 that the present neoclassical style portico, side porches, and porte cochere were added. The 2-story structure displays a 3-bay facade with all window and door openings capped by molded hoods characteristic of New Bern's later Italianate dwellings. Louvered ventilators appear in the frieze of the bracketed cornice above each window opening. The portico cornice has block modillions, while the smaller side porches have simpler dentil cornices. These later porches are supported by plain Tuscan order columns and have turned balustrades. To the rear is the original 1-story kitchen and its breezeway, the latter now enclosed. So 516 Pollock Street, the project is to include window, door, and rear side porch modifications in the secondary and tertiary AVCs. Staff submits the following historic district guidelines as appropriate to this application. For fences and garden walls, 2.5.1 and 3. For modifications, 3.2.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For foundations, 4.1.1, 2, and 3. For walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.1. For windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.1, 3, and 4. For entrances, 4.4.1, 2, and 4. For roofs, 4.5.4. For masonry, 5.1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For wood, 5.2.1. For paint, 5.4.1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. For masonry maintenance, 6.1.1, 2, 3, and 4. For wood maintenance, 6.1.5, 6, and 7. For paint maintenance, 6.1.12, 6.1.13, and prevention of demolition by neglect, 6.2.2, 3, 4, and 5. Statements are reasoned based on the information contained in the application, and staff's judgment are: 1, the structure is a contributing resource in the tight weave development pattern. 2, the project is replacements of windows with doors, closing one window, windowsill raising, conversion of the enclosed rear porch into an open porch, relocation of the porch steps, raising the porch roof, and fencing realignment construction, all in the secondary and tertiary AVCs. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, the project is not incongruous with guidelines. The HPC may want to consider the following conditions. 1, revised plans and according to the changes agreed upon at the hearing shall be submitted by the applicant to the HPC staff for approval according to the guidelines and prior to the final inspection by the Building Inspections Division. That's the end of our staff report.
Okay, questions, discussion?
It's a very careful, thank you, nice modification to bring some modern conveniences, but without changing really the appearance of the house. And just one question, when you say shorten the window, are you actually rebuilding that same window, or is it a new wood window?
It's going to be that same window.
Sir.
Go away.
Sir,
Go up
if you
to the
come up to the microphone, please.
And go ahead and identify yourself.
Things can be the same except the size. It's just going to be proportional to size.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if we could have him identify himself for the record, please, the last speaker.
Could you identify yourself?
I don't know who he is.
Who's this guy?
You got to talk loud.
I said, I don't know who that is.
Got here.
Just kidding.
What's your name?
Jose Mangus. Remember that guy? No, I'm kidding. Alexis Cardelli.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
You got to be over better than that guy.
Yeah. Other comments, questions?
I think the changes are certainly kind and general and blend with the existing historic architectural elements.
It's
Lovely renovation. Here, here.
certainly a signature house,
Yeah.
so thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to find the application for a certificate of appropriateness for 516 Pollock Street to be not incongruous with New Bern's Code of Ordinance, Sections 15411 to 15429, and New Bern's Historic District guidelines based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Fences and garden walls, 2.5.1 and 3. Modifications for 3.2.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Foundations, 4.1.1, 2, and 3. Walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.1. Windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.1, 3, and 4. Entrances, 4.4.1, 2, and 4. Roofs, 4.5.4. Masonry, 5.1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wood, 5.2.1. Paint, 5.4.1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. Masonry maintenance, 6.1.1, 2, 3, and 4. Wood maintenance, 6.1.5, 6, and 7. Paint maintenance, 6.1.12 and 13. And prevention of demolition by neglect, 6.2.2, 3, 4, and 5. Findings of fact, the structure is a contributing resource in the tight weave development pattern. The project is replacements of windows with doors, closing one window, windowsill raising, conversion of the enclosed rear porch into an open porch, relocation of the porch steps, raising the porch roof, and fencing realignment construction, all in the secondary and tertiary AVCs. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, the project is not incongruous with the guidelines.
Is there a second?
Second.
Greg? Okay. Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Another motion for the issuance of the COA.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we issue a COA for the project. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, issue the COA.
It's a good project.
Yeah, good job.
Very good.
I just want to say thank you, and I want to say that we appreciate you all giving your time and your talents and your wisdom to keep this town what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's not talking to you, Jim.
Not me?
I know.
Okay, 216 Johnson.
All right, here is the application for 216 Johnson for Curtis Krummel and Tracy Krummel and Local Builders, LLC, again. So in this case, the project is to remove screens in the arches of a screened-in porch and install new solid wood windows and some wood panels, which I also describe here in number 3. And there's also a door that's also part of the project. All right. They've checked off all the boxes. They've signed the document and dated. And the owner and the contractor are here today. So these are photos from the applicant. So we're talking about this porch here that's currently screened in, and these 3 large arches, and then around the corner we'll see in a second also. So around the corner is here on the left. So there's a smaller arched opening here plus a doorway. that are also part of the project. And that's enlarged and brightened, so you can see there is an arch in both of those openings. All right. So they provided some closer-up photos showing some more of the details, including like this brick sill at the bottom. And then they provided a sketch of the project here. So this is that gable end of the structure, and they're showing the arched windows are fixed windows, whereas the I'm going to say the middle section here, these are casement windows, wood casement windows, and then the wood panels that I referred to are down here at the bottom and referenced in I think the other sketch. Okay, so again, on the same approach on the other side here, although with smaller windows and smaller panels, and the door will be replaced with a new wood door with a transom. And there is an additional description to help with the details of that proposal. The windows will be 18 inches off the existing floor. And this area will be a wood panel with period-appropriate trim. There will be two equal panels under each unit. The side door is a simple wood full view door, and the transom will be full view half round above the door, also wood. All right. So then they provided the details about the windows using the order form or the order printout for the windows. And a couple of things to see is we're looking at number one here says it's a left casement. Number two is a right casement. And number three is the fixed sash set half circle. So each one of those will be one operating window on the left, one on the right, and one fixed window over the top. And a casement means that's the ones where you crank them open with the crank on the bottom, and they open like a door. All right. And then again on where the next to the door, it's a single one. It's a movable casement. Number one, it's a casement, and the number two is then the half circle. Then the door itself is an in-swinging door. Oh, and I forgot to go over the materials on these. So this one, standard wood, pine, primed. Talks about the glass, has no screening. That might be about all we might care about, but if you want to know more, we will come back to that. So I'm going to go back to the other ones to make sure you see that these windows are to be wood, and in this case pine wood. And in the case of the half circle, it's also wood. Right here it says wood. So that would probably be the same for the other ones. Here we have wood, wood, and wood. All right? So, okay. Oh, and that's the half circle over the door. All right. So then we have the inspections, zoning and inspections. The zoning says it meets the requirements of land use ordinance, and the zoning permit is not required. And chief building inspector has indicated that a building permit is not required. So there you go. And we're ready with our staff report.
Okay. The owner or the rep care to add anything to that? Come up. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add to what Matt said?
Everything's just like we showed there. The only difference, my drawing wasn't as accurate as the pictures for Pella. Originally, we thought we were going to have a center mall, but they could design it so that it's one big pre-run unit.
You mean the arch ones?
Yeah, that's one big half round instead of those two quarters. I changed after we made the drawing. They actually sent it to design, they worked on it till they made it one large unit, it needs to be bigger.
Are the casements still?
Yeah, oh, everything's the same.
Same.
The pictures of the windows.
Okay.
See, my drawing is not accurate.
Thank you.
Accurate. It's accurate in the second picture, right? The one that's up on the screen now, it doesn't have the divider in it. It looks like that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
Just the windows have one half round instead of the picture.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any proponents or opponents of this project who would care to be, who are authorized and who care to comment? Seeing none, okay.
All right.
Your recommendations?
All right. So the staff report for 216 Johnson Street, the historic property name is the second Dr. William Hand Senior House, built in 1926. It is a contributing structure. The National Register inventory description from 2003 describes it as 2 stories, brick, 4 bays wide with a recessed porch in the left bay, and tall Flemish gable entrance bay, a gambrel roof, and inset and shed dormers. For Sandbeck in 1988, he says, Dr. Hand's second Johnson Street residence, built 1925 to 1926, displays a picturesque gambrel roofline and a host of other well-detailed colonial revival elements, which make it one of the city's finest examples of the style. Notable colonial revival details of Dr. Hand's house include a prominent gambrel-roofed projecting entrance bay, a classical arched soffit portico, and Palladian and lunette windows in the gable ends. Incorporated in the west end of the house is a charming arcaded porch with rooms above. So for 216 Johnson Street, the project is to include replacing the porch screens and door with new wood windows and a door in the primary AVC. So staff submits the following historic district guidelines are appropriate to this application for modifications 3.2.1, 2, 3, and 5. For walls, 4. Trim and ornamentation, 4.2.1. For windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.1 and 3. For entrances, 4.4.1. For masonry, 5.1.1. For wood, 5.2.1. And for paint, 5.4.1, 2, 3, and 4. Statements of reason based on the information contained in the application and staff's judgment are: 1, the structure is a contributing resource in the tight weave development pattern. 2, the project is replacements of porch screens with wood panels at the bottom and windows above the panels and a new wood door. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. 5, the project is not incongruous with the guidelines. The HPC may want to consider the following conditions. Revised plans according to the changes agreed upon at the hearing shall be submitted by the applicant to the HPC staff for approval according to the guidelines and prior to the final inspection by the Building Inspections Division. That's the end of our report.
Okay. Questions? Anyone?
Alexis, I need your help. Matt, can we go up to the sketches? One more. All right. So I'm clear that the vertical is not in the half-round window at the head. Okay. But I see 4 casement windows underneath there.
I said, I mean, they're big openings. I thought they had to have 2 leads, but the drawings from Pell, evidently, they designed them to be like drawings.
Okay, so I guess my question is, do we need to remove your sketch from the application, or do we need to remove the Pella cut sheet from the application? Okay. All right.
Let's use
And then,
Pella. If you want, I can redo that.
or if you'd like to redo it just for clarity.
Okay.
that'd be appropriate as well. But I guess for tonight's discussion, though, we're going to take off this sketch here. The second sketch appears to be correct.
Correct.
Okay.
The one on the front, on the primary AVC.
Yes. Okay.
So does that apply to the cut sheet, which shows a divided two windows? I believe it's the first cut sheet.
Keep going.
So it appears to me, given the dimensions on the rough opening, 78 by 95 and change, that's the large
It's
opening.
amazing, yeah.
With two cases.
Yeah, so I think that's correct. So there's really just one fixed and two
Right.
casements.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing.
It's a big window.
Any other comments or questions?
No, it maintains really the appearance of the house with improving the livability.
Yeah.
Maintains the arches.
Yeah.
Actually, it's better because it looks more minimal than having a bunch of members going through there.
True.
It's very well done.
Yikes.
That wasn't me.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
No.
Just a clarification so that everyone is aware of it. 4-8, page 4-8, it does reference, there's a reference there, it's unappropriate to enclose screen porches, the primary AVC. We typically, if a porch has already been enclosed, which this one has, we don't require it to be undone. And I think in this case, the new enclosure is an improvement over what is already there.
No.
Thank you, I concur.
Okay, any other questions, concerns? Entertain a motion to approve?
I'll move. I move to find the application for the project at 216 Johnson Street to be not incongruous with New Bern's Code of Ordinances, sections 15.411 through 15.429, and New Bern's Historic District standards based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Modifications 3.2.123 and 5. Walls, trims, ornamentations 4.2.1. Windows, doors, and openings 4.31 and 4.3.3. Entrances 4.4.1. Masonry 5.1.1. Wood 5.2.1. Paint 5.4.1, 2, 3, and 4. Findings of fact based on the information contained in the application is that the project at this address is a contributing structure in the tight weave development pattern. 2, the proposed project is a replacement of porch screens with wood panels at the bottom and glass windows above the panels and installation of a new wood door. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the Historic District Design Principles and Standards, also known as guidelines. The zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly, and the application is not incongruous with historic district guidelines, with the only condition that the windows are as on the cut sheets and not as provided in the sketch in the application.
How would you as a senator?
And that the applicant will provide revised sketches prior to the work beginning.
Absolutely.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, we approve this application with the conditions noted. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion to issue COA.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, we issue the COA. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Issue the COA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 500 Queen.
I'm going to say that was Tim that did the motion, right?
For the COA?
That was Mike.
Mike, you did the motion, Mike?
I did the motion.
Motion to approve the application.
Oh, right, no, but I mean for the COA.
The motion to issue COA.
That was Tim?
I did.
Oh,
But,
Jim.
There may have been two.
So many.
Jim did, Tim second.
All right, okay. And I thought Greg was good. All right, no worries. Thank you. Okay, so our next application is 500 Queen Street. Oops. All right, 1 second. All right, this is the application, and the owner is Dion King, and also Spectrum Custom Builders with Jay Hammond. And they provided all of the other information as attached in the drawings, other attachments. They checked off the boxes, and they're acting on behalf of the owner. So we have, Mr. Hammond has signed here, and this is the owner's authorization form authorizing him to represent the owner, signed and notarized. And then we have some additional information here provided by the architect. Okay. So essentially filling out the application with the project description, the various design guidelines. And then the materials are all in the drawings. So this is the context. We have the very large vacant lot that is across the tracks from the train depot and also along the side of Pasteur Street there, in addition to, of course, being on Queen Street. But it also has a frontage along this public alley over here on this side called Cool Street. And it has a very strange corner cutoff at an angle due to some strange subdivision that happened in the past.
I think railroad tracks went through it originally.
But I've never been able to see tracks on maps anywhere. So, but anyway, it makes sense though that it would be. And then this is the map we've seen several times now to demonstrate one. The pink area is the historic district, and the property is fully within the historic district, as well as that little sliver in the back. So later on we'll get a reprieve from a historic description because it's a vacant lot. So I wanted to show some Sanborn maps which showed the use of the property in the past. And this happens to be from 1898. This map shows that particular lot had on the corner, because you can see the tracks here, and Queen Street at the bottom, and Pasteur Street on the upper part here. This is that lot. It's a grocery store, a saloon, a pool hall, an office, a dwelling, something vacant, looks like a store, and another dwelling along Pasteur. And also, they had, like the good old Western days, porches out the front in the street, right? At least along the first three here, and then also that vacant one. Then along Queen Street, this is before the Rhone Hotel was built, quite a bit before that. There was a dwelling set back a little bit. Then there's a meat shop, also known as a butcher, a restaurant, another little restaurant. I mean, they're both tiny little restaurants, and a dwelling on the corner of what was then called Jerkins Alley. And these two also had that porch out on the street right away. So just thought it was interesting context, historic context, in addition to the fact that across this Queen Street was also another saloon over here, and the number 2 represents how many stories. So this is a 2-story building with a 1-story addition on the back. So these are, let's see, this is a 1-story building, grocery store, the 1-story saloon, but there's a 1.5-story pool hall, and the other buildings are all 1-story. So that was 1898, right? 1904, I guess the saloon was doing better than the grocery store, so the saloon's now twice as big, and the grocery store has moved back from the corner. But we still have that porch out front. Then we have other jewelry store, a restaurant, and a barber shop. And then that thing is still vacant. And the dwellings are still there. 2 of the restaurants are here, but the other one is gone and the dwelling. And now the saloon over here is turned into a grocery store. All right. Then in 1908, giving a little bit more context here, the train station actually has added this very large train shed portion to it. The passenger station is only this small wooden one. The brick one we have today has not been built. And the corner of this lot was a confectionery, a restaurant. Here, let me make this bigger. A confectionery, a restaurant, vacant, a jewelry shop, and a dwelling and a tailor. And then there was a boarding house a little bit farther back, a dwelling, and some ruins of a fire. Meanwhile, along Queen Street, there's now a somewhat elaborate dwelling next to that building, and then where the Rome Hotel is a dwelling and a restaurant attached to the side of it. Meanwhile, farther down, we have a grocery store, something else, restaurant, dry goods, a bunch of stores all along Queen Street. This is all because the train station was where people arrived into town, right? So there we go. Oh, that was the arrangement I was looking for. And in fact, there was a police station in the middle of the street next to the tracks. So then by, I missed the year, 1913, the now brick train station has been built with the overhangs for people to hang out and wait for their train. And then the property itself, I think, yes, I have another enlargement here. Again, it's a confectionery, a restaurant, a vacant restaurant, pressing club, which I think is for ironing clothes, and a shoe shining parlor. Meanwhile, that elaborate house has now added its own restaurant in its front yard. And then there's the 1922 fire. Wiped out everything except for the train station itself. So rebuilding in 1924, just 2 years later, we see a very large, and red means it's made of brick, very large brick structure with many, many shops all along here. Every S represents a shop. They do have the cleaning and pressing here, and they have a packing room in the back. And the Rome Hotel has been constructed. And this building is a 2-story building now all the way around, except for the packing room is 1 story. The Rome Hotel is 2 stories. (1958), the last one, sorry. It's a revision on the 1931 map. And so this is that brick building which has now been modified to become the Frederick Tailoring Company clothing manufacturing facility. The entire thing they've filled in the U shape with concrete block structure. And this, I don't know, some people know that this was for sewing pants, manufacturing pants for this Frederick Tailoring Company out of New York City. So have an idea of what's happened on this site over the years. That was 1958. That was then torn down, I think, in the 70s or 80s. And now we have today, ever since then, a blank site. So we can look at the various angles and views of this site. Make this somewhat bigger. The way it is today, as we look down the street curb, and you see our memorial sign for the Ebenezer Presbyterian Church here, which was way at the back of the property. Also, there's a section of the street where there's no parking in front of the Roan Hotel because of the site angles needed for coming out of the Cool Street. Then this is a view along Cool Street with the Roan Hotel here, the corner of it here, but the property that we're looking at comes up to the edge of the street here, or the right-of-way for this street. Then looking across the property, or the site from that corner, essentially they've taped off to get an idea where the property line is at that location. Comes across on this side of the tree. So the tree is apparently on the subject property. Then going further down Cool and looking back towards the rest of the property. And now crossing across the property, seeing the relationship of the Roan Hotel to the space that's over here on the left and also on the right, and the location of this large tree. And back that angle, I don't know why I did that, but, and then once you get to Pasteur Street, looking back up Pasteur Street to the other houses that become the reference for the setback, which I have to zoom into quite a bit. There's the, you guys call them Seven Sisters? Six Sisters. But there's another house in front before that. And it's around in this location, either where this house is or in the grass here where the Ebenezer Church was. And you can also see that we have a grass strip here at this end of the property, or at this end of the street. But starting right here at the bottom of this photo, it's been paved and there's no curb. And this was taken last week or Monday or something. So let's see what else we got. And then, okay, looking back from that spot back to the corner again, back to the point of beginning. So if you have any questions about that. All right. Well, I believe we can start with the drawings, yes. This one was just submitted today to include dimensions between the building and the property lines, but it still includes the yet to be updated parcel plot plan. So that's a similar story to the one on National Avenue. The surveyor couldn't get to updating that. However, we do have some of the information on this one related to the setbacks. So along Queen Street, it's pretty obvious that the proposal is in line with the existing building next to it. So that would be not an issue. Then, however, what is the setback from the Six Sisters and the other house all the way down the block? So they've extended the lines of the facades of those buildings down here in this green dashed line. And so 843 Pasteur is this one. The next one over is 839 Pasteur, and the last one is 847 Pasteur, which actually is even outside the property line. So as long as this corner back here in the corner that's dimensioned here at 9 feet is within the farthest green dashed line and the closest green dashed line, that would be in compliance. All right, so other than that, we do have a question about what the setback is needing to be here on this side for a commercial use in the historic district, in the C2 district, is to be 20 feet. So we might be having an issue here with the 15 or the 13, and we also think that the building itself, the Roan Hotel building, is on the property line, not 2 feet away. So those have yet to be surveyed in order to get the actual numbers that we expect. Then on this side, the distance of this wall from the paved street is almost 14 feet, but to the property line is 12 feet. And that's it to be determined if you think that this should be a primary setback over here, a front yard setback over here as well, or not. And they are proposing an HVAC unit there, but screening it with some landscaping. So that may be a point of discussion. And then the only other thing left here is the distance from the face of this garage and residential building to the property line here is 5 foot 4 inches. So that would be within the 5 foot side yard setback requirement. Let's see. So I think that's it for the setbacks. They removed the parking along Queen Street that they were proposing to chop in there, where the grass strip is currently today. On this side, I think they're showing that paved area of Pasteur Street to become green grass, but we can check that with them. And let's see. Then the parking lot is shown now here with some parking lot lighting in these 3 locations, 1, 2, 3, 4 locations. The parking for the commercial use is separated from the parking for the apartments. And there is actually a pad back here which must be for a dumpster, which would require an enclosure. So we'll be looking for some drawings or designs for that enclosure. They have also added to the package today the cut sheets for the parking light fixtures, so we'll see that in a minute. So that's some of the new stuff since the last meeting. Let's see, so now we can proceed with the rest of the information, which is all essentially the same as from the design review. But for the record, so this is the first floor plan. With the essentially wraparound porch here on these 3 sides. And then, let's see, then the garage in the back upper left corner is separated from the rest of the building, but connected with a breezeway. And then we'll see above the breezeway roof essentially becomes the walkway into an entrance into the residential units. So move to that. So here we have on the upper left is one residential unit with its entrance here, and then as the stairways have provided access to this, essentially the roof of the breezeway, that becomes then the entrance for 2 units, this being the entrance here for this upper, or this half of the building unit, and then the other half of the building unit is here with its entrance there. And this is actually the roof of the portion of the building below. You'll see it's just a 1-story portion, whereas the rest of the project is 2 stories. And here you can also see the plan view of the kind of pergola, or trellis structure over the porches, over the wraparound porch area. All right. And that's the roof. So we have flat roofs on these 3 sections here, well, 2 sections, and then This is a sloping roof with metal. No, stop. Oh, stop. All right, and we can see the decking for the breezeway. All right, then we finally get to our elevations. These are the back and the side. No, back and the front. Sorry. So the front. This is the elevation facing Queen Street at the bottom. Here you can see our wraparound porch and entranceway with handrails, and there are also lights shown on here. I'm going to make this bigger. There are lights shown here and over here. The windows are all vertical all throughout the entire facade here. So this shows roofing, not trellis work. Okay. So I'm not sure what that is then. We'll get that clarified. Then on the back, we have our 3 garage doors with the apartment above, the breezeway between, the second floor windows up here with siding. The upper floor has the hardy board siding, the concrete siding, and the first floor is all brick. We'll see this all in the renderings in a minute. And then the handrails for the porch and the ramps for the ramp here on the back side. Let's go to the next page. All right, so here this is the Pasteur Street side. So this entire side underneath here is a porch-like situation, and upper floor is the hardy board with all the windows for the apartments, or dwellings, I should say. They could be condos. We have to show the doorways for both the main entrance and the side entrance here. That other room on the side there. And then the other side facing Cool Street and the Rhone Hotel. So this wall is facing the Rhone Hotel with one window here. The breezeway then connecting back to the garage, and apartment, which then faces Cool Street. You can see the stairway going up, the handrails at the top, the entrance, the recessed entrances. They've also depicted some of the mechanical units are on the roof. All right. They provided a section through the building, through both buildings, in several directions. And I guess the main thing is to see the roof is here, this heavy black line in both the 2-story and 1-story, and then there's a parapet all the way around both of those roofs. And several building sections showing the brick veneer and the hardy board siding. Structural and insulation details. Details about the handrails for the steps and for the breezeway roof and this handrail section. Some more construction details. So finally, we got to the rendering. So let's start with the one on the right. I'll make that one quite a bit larger. So this will be essentially the front view along Queen Street on the left and then Pasteur Street off page on the right. So this is the entrance to the first floor and the wraparound porch, so to say. Along here, there are a few steps leading up to that. And here you can see that this portion of the building is 1 story, the other is 2-story. The rendering still shows parking right next to the sidewalk, but the current proposal is grass. And then this is then looking back towards Queen Street, so the back side of the building from the parking lot driveway. And so we can see that wraparound porch coming around to the back side, and we have brick on the first floor, the siding on the second floor, and then the garage and apartment or dwelling on the second floor on the right. Then the third one is rendering from essentially the railroad tracks looking towards the building. Again, it's pretty much all the same things we just talked about. They've also provided some details of the light fixtures. Some are like this and that. Some are recessed. And then for the parking lot, the light fixtures are like this. This came in today, so this is new for you.
What kind of a bulb is it?
I don't know. So, all right, so I think someone in the audience wants to provide
We can wait till
some slides as they talk to us about their about the project when we get to that.
You done?
Like a boomerang.
Yep.
The owner or the owner's rep want to add anything to that?
Yeah.
Do you understand my question?
Oh, I do have it.
Would you come, if you want to add, please come up.
So
Were you
wait.
sworn in at the beginning? You were.
Jim?
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Jim?
staff needs to go over the zoning and inspections report before we
Yeah,
hear
I
from the
forgot
applicant.
that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Okay,
I
just
put
give us a
those in
minute.
too soon. There we go. Sorry. All right, so the zoning and inspections report. So this is in the C4 zoning district with the River Station mixed-use overlay, in addition to being in the historic district. And there's a certain category in the overlay that is for what they call storefronts, which allow commercial use with residential above. So the various requirements are set here with the front yard setback. We talked about the side yard setback is to be determined, according to the zoning administrator. The rear is six feet. And then the other things are relatively normal things. Required site improvements, the landscaping is to be 50 to 25%. The buffer is to be determined, and the parking is to be determined. And I'll explain that in a second. Other requirements for this overlay district is that a minimum of 5% of the land area, quote, dedicated as recreational open space, which may include parks, plazas, walkways, trails, and bike paths, unquote. So the zoning administrator has said that it seems it does not meet the requirements of land use ordinance because he says, I've been in contact with the project manager. A special use permit is required for the multifamily use. So the special use permit is why things are yet to be determined. And so that may or may not affect your discussion here. The chief building inspector, as of course said, will require a building permit and a floodplain development permit. I did forget to mention that the site plan does show that the building is slightly in the floodplain hazard area. So,
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is an important piece Normally, when staff reviews the zoning and inspections report, you'll see a comment that a permit is required, especially from the zoning administrator. This zoning and inspections report is quite a bit different. Normally, before you see things such as single-family residential construction, which is permitted by right in just about every zoning district in New Bern. There are uses that are permitted by right, and there are other uses that are permitted by special use permit. The special use permit process requires a hearing, much like this one, different criteria, but there are quasi-judicial hearings where there's findings of fact, conclusions of law, and then the permit is issued if they've satisfied the criteria. In this circumstance, because our zoning administrator has offered evidence that a special use permit is required but that has not yet been obtained, as we sit here this moment, the applicant does not have a legal right to use the property in the way that is being intended. Mm-hmm. Not to say that they may not be able to satisfy the criteria, that's entirely possible, but the special use permit process has not commenced as I understand it. So based on this note from the zoning administrator, the applicant does not have the entitlement necessary to use the property, and therefore a review of any design criteria is a bit premature.
So I'm going to interpret what you said then. We might approve this building. Obviously, there's a condition to be met that it meets the zoning requirements. But I'm struggling for what role we're playing here.
And that's
there were
fine.
setback requirements that were not met also, it appeared.
That is what staff has suggested, and that's what this form suggests as well. Generally, we require applicants to have a legal right to do whatever they're proposing before they come to you all and talk about their design, because if they can't get the entitlement, then COA really doesn't mean anything, because you can't build what you want to build because you don't have the use that you want to use. So what you all could consider tonight, if you review this evidence and agree with the zoning administrator that a special use permit is required and has not yet been obtained, you could continue this application until the gentleman has an opportunity to obtain a special use permit. Or I don't know if the applicant has some relevant information as to where they are in that process that might help you make a determination about whether you can proceed on the application tonight.
The other thing that bothers me a little bit, if it does not meet the setback requirements, that sounds like the design must change.
Yes, sir.
And we, though, can't vote on that when the design's going to change.
It would be very difficult to make a determination about the design when we don't know the dimensions and where the structure may sit on the lot, which is one of the same issues that you had earlier.
It sounds like we need a motion to...
Well, another question, the special use permit doesn't necessarily involve the design.
Correct.
So really, I'm with the chairman here. It's really the setbacks that...
the setbacks to me is the issue for us.
Right.
Well, the special use, however, does involve the multifamily, which would be a large proportion of this building.
Right, but, that's not mass scale proportion dimension.
It does have to go to the Board of Adjustment.
Correct.
And I think what Mr. Morrison is suggesting is that if a special use permit isn't obtained, then the second story isn't a part of the design anymore. So the uses that are applicable to this lot are very much germane to what the design may or may not include.
And if I'm correct, the Board of Adjustment might also consider the setback.
Absolutely.
As well as the necessary 5%.
We've done a lot of talking about zoning, which is not in our purview, but if I can put it in HBC terms, essentially we've got the potential, again, for a lot of moving parts. And it's the same situation as our prior application. Obviously, if there are questions about we don't care about use, just make that very clear. But if there's questions about how many stories may be there, and obviously if I'm going to reluctantly use the term setbacks, just because if the box gets smaller, that means other changes has to happen to the site planning and potentially the building layout. I'd suggest that we continue this application to a later date.
that a motion?
The motion is going to need to include that date, and it may be helpful to talk to the applicant about where they are in that process so that you can bear that information in mind as you're thinking about a future hearing date.
Can you get answers to all of those questions by the next meeting, or?
Come to the microphone.
I talked to Kendrick about this stuff, and he wanted me to go through this process. And he said something, we talked about the special use permit. He said it shouldn't be an issue to get, but we got to see if we can get past Jolly first. As far as the setbacks go, there are some boundaries that are not quite correct on there. The one of the lines is like right on the spot. So if we had to shift it, the whole thing like this, a foot, then that would meet them setbacks. If it's required to have the 20 foot, considering what we had talked about, earlier about all the different sides of the streets that we're dealing with. So yes, that can be easily addressed, and we can, as minor adjustments as far as the planning goes, as far as the building goes, it's not going to change.
No.
And I can easily talk to Kendrick, but he was adamant about, well, you got to see if y'all will even, consider what we're doing. And if you consider what we're doing, then it shouldn't be an issue as far as a special use permit.
I think we'd like to consider it in its final form. And it sounds like you would be comfortable with us postponing at least a month.
Well, it's not really up to Kendrick, the zoning administrator. It's really up to the Board of Adjustment right now. They have to have a quasi-judicial hearing to consider them.
Yeah.
They only meet once a month too. So
to complicate things, I think development services policy is you have to have your zoning permit first.
Correct.
Right.
In this case, the special use permit is the zoning permit.
And so,
which is fine. But like I said, when I talked to him several months ago, he was like, it's got to get approved for you before I can do the next step. And I was like, okay. And then now it's now I want to do that step, even though I don't have your approval.
okay.
So it doesn't.
I think we'd like to see the special use permit approved and the issues around setbacks decided in terms of a design.
Fine. So it shouldn't be an issue.
I move we continue this hearing to the next meeting on July 16th at 5:30 p.m. here in order for you to conclude all zoning issues.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to postpone or continue to July 16th.
Sure.
All in favor, state aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries.
That was Mike with the second.
Yep.
Yep.
Matt, can I take a bathroom break?
Yes.
As the chair.
Joe, can I take a
We need a motion for
You
that?
can take a recess if you'd like to, or so you can entertain a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Entertain
if you'd
motion
like.
for,
entertain a motion for a 5-minute
Recess.
recess.
somebody second.
Second.
All in favor,
Recess sounds
state aye.
better.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, you're on. We wait for him to come back?
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was the second on that?
Yeah. There was somebody, I thought you did.
No,
You volunteered to?
yeah, I thought
we
the
were doing
term
the
recess
test.
would be better than restroom break.
Just estimate what grade public are. I'd like to
I'll just kick the can down the road. No, it's good. I think that one's good.
Yeah.
I thought we might be able to condition this one. I have a big market even though we talked about it, I just wanted to be a definitive no on that.
If it's a definitive no, then you have to wait a year, reapply. Thanks for that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the only reason, that's the only reason, I agree with everything.
Yeah, and wasn't the way that explained it during the design review wasn't there. If you had just said it's in the primary AVC, not the secondary, tertiary, like guidelines. They probably understood that.
You just test the water.
Not like it's, I think it's good. It's a good thing, but you can't do it. Well, it's the guidelines suggest shorten the garage. Yeah, don't touch it, don't screw it up. You'll be fine.
I think the mayor is
limiting the like.
Yeah. There's a lot of people along here but I put that motion to do it.
You'll take care of it.
There's a policy that
Such a
is new this year.
bar. Yeah. But that's the neighbors.
I just met everybody on our way.
Yeah, he said.
That's what I'm trying to get there.
If you do that, come back.
I gotta get this on. I gotta go to HDC. I gotta do this. What do you want me to do first? And they go, oh, that's the applicant's problem. And then you say, okay, you're the agency, knowing that but we're going to leverage that approval against, another approval, and you have to have a plan. It's okay. Makes it easier for us because we can decide what we're here.
Give us a full I couldn't make it back there. There's too much going on outside. I know, but they were all standing for it. It doesn't. I'll vote. I did take it down the road today. I'm sorry?
If I see the attorney, I'll send her in.
Put the noise. Could have 100 speakers.
Four and a half years ago. So maybe someone's using the old map. Just make sure. Well, that might, and we might want to do that too, guys, on a special use permit, just so that you get that. Yeah. We're always very busy. All right, thank you.
She coming?
That's right. Yeah, so we're going to. I said, well, I'll send it on.
No, I didn't know it was Friday. That they needed a special use permit. Right, and he's now like, Kendrick told me, what are you doing with this house? You're not doing this?
I got more
You don't need more.
I'm getting more shit. I'm going back to my pottery. Like I was working on it today. Got big pottery.
Wow. Okay.
My wife would kill me. I'm going up to State College today. You ever been to that fine art festival?
The Arts Fest?
The Arts Festival.
Oh, never been. I grew up there. I go back a lot.
Yeah. I've been several times, but my kids want to go. My daughter says
Stuff is really good. It's really expensive. It's good. Well done.
my daughter's in Gallup there. It's right on the
Where are y'all from?
College Ave.
I'm St. John's American? It's not that.
What's her median?
She paints.
Yeah, but.
She's doing for him. He asked for some revisions of the stage.
Do you know anybody who's going to be showing any arts?
I don't know if you and we got a sculpture up there. Need some more
We were thinking about going that. We still might. We have a wedding in Philadelphia in a couple of weeks here. It's up 1 week and back, and then up again. It's too long to bridge. Too short to have two different trips. All right. Let's call the order.
All right. Okay. Call to order. And I believe we're on to 314 Liberty. Oh, we have 710 new. I'm sorry. 710 new.
710.
Check that one.
All right, so we have the application now for 710 New Street here.
I like it.
All right, there we go. The owner is Teresa Barrett, and the other applicants, Rusty Creedy of Fuller Center Disaster Rebuilders. And the scope is attached, the guidelines listed, and the materials, roof repair, and window specs and literature are attached. So they've checked off the appropriate checkboxes, including that Mr. Creedy has signed this and dated it, and he has the owner's authorization form signed and notarized with Ms. Barrett's signature. So the scope for this project is to. Is Mr. Creedy here?
Yep.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. And I'm going to proceed with that. All right. So number one is to remove all vinyl siding around the house required on right elevation for structural repairs. We talked about this in the design review meeting, and it was suggested that all of the siding would have to be removed if an entire side is to be removed. Then there's 2 is the repairs to the back porch. Oh, right, so I'm sorry. This is an updated scope of work as a result of the design review meeting. So sorry, I paraphrased the meeting. So it's required on all other elevation sides of the home to restore the historical look. Any bad wood siding behind the vinyl siding will be scraped of lead paint and sealed by a lead abatement contractor, and wood siding will be painted. 2, the repairs to the back porch, to replace the 4x4 posts, replace decking, and repair floor joists as needed, all with treated lumber, which is what is there presently. Water damage slatted ceiling to be removed by lead abatement contractor hired by Encore and general contractor to replace with plywood beadboard and painted. Number 3, to install an HVAC system. The first floor to use mini splits to avoid ductwork in the crawl space, and second floor to have split system with evaporator blower and ductwork in the attic and condenser on stand on the right elevation. And he lists the unit sizes on the left elevation, the right elevation. Under C, the line sets for all units will be inside of the walls to minimize anything on the exterior. D, the stands will be painted, and E, the stands will be screened with bushes. Number 4, replace all the windows in the home with wood windows. The Gelwood quote and literature is attached. And number 5, the metal roof is to be coated with sealant matching the existing galvanized color. The chimney flashing and other flashing is to be replaced to stop the water leaks, and there's a quote attached for that to give you some of the details. Number 6, the soffit fascia, front porch ceiling, and any other exterior wood is to be scraped by a lead abatement contractor hired by Encore. Repairs will be made by general contractor of any damaged wood to match existing look and all painted to match existing colors. Number 7, to make repairs to the damaged bricks on the rear chimney using same brick type/color as needed to match the other 2 chimneys closer to the front of the house. And number 8, removal of the Federal Pacific electrical circuit panel box from the right elevation, and the plan to install the circuit panel inside the house, so we'll just end up with a meter outside of the home. So here we have photos from April 2023 by Commissioner Thompson. So this shows the 2 houses sitting next to each other, the neighbor on the left and the subject house on the right. And then straight on view of the subject house here. And then back, again, the 2 together, but here now you can see the right-hand side, which was the problems, the significant problem side. And at the time, you could see the siding and some of the window sills here. And then the rest of the side here, and the major problem is down here in the lower right-hand corner. You'll see some photos of that. Then, which includes separation, collapsing of the foundation pier at the corner, and some separation of the wall at the corner. And back here you can see into the wall. And here again, now there you can see how the pier is collapsing or sliding. The top layers are sliding off the bottom layers or courses. Then the back of the house. This is the porch that they're looking to replace several of the members. And these are all the windows that they're looking to replace as well. Then on the left-hand side, so the front is on the right here, so this is the left-hand side of the house. Not quite so many problems over there, although the windows are potentially, well, they're being proposed to be replaced. And this is the front door. Goes up with the side lights. And there were a bunch of interior photos which don't matter to us now because that was related to the demo. And then, of course, our historic irises, which, by the way, are gone. All right. So now this is from our site visit, staff's photographs from the site visit. Oops, sorry. This. Shows some of those. There we go. So shows some of the foundation collapsing here, and I guess that's the same thing. This way. All right, and now you can see how the corner's separating. There you see the actual studs from the outside. All right, and then this is the left side of the house, did not have that kind of problem. See, here's a pier. It's in good condition, just covered with some splash of the soil on it. And then this one is from the interior, not normally a thing, but this is that corner you can actually see outside from the inside of the corner. So I'm going to skip ahead. All right. Then this is now photos more recent from the applicant. So 2025. They removed the bushes here on the side so you can really see how this is not just at the corner but also halfway down the wall. And so that's why all the siding has to be removed in order to repair the significant dislocation of that wall. And then this is the panel box that they want to move inside. And that's their photo of the corner. And a much better photograph of the exterior of the back porch, showing more detail. And here we can see the posts and the floorboards and even the ceiling that they're looking to replace here. Are you also looking to build new steps there, or what? Okay, so the steps are to remain. Then we have some details from the windows to show how serious the deterioration is, not just here in the corner, but all the way across this windowsill. So could you come forward, because there's about 30 pages here that I think we don't need. And so I'm hoping you'll help me identify it. I already eliminated the first 3 or so.
I think you eliminate all of them. So.
Okay, all right.
Basically, they're wood windows.
Solid wood windows?
They're basically, I guess if I read through the standards, you have two divided light. You need to have two divided light lintons, which we don't have, but they are three-dimensional grills affixed to both the interior and exterior of the glass, and the shadow bars.
Yep.
So there's not. But they are wood. It's all wood inside, outside, and meet historical standard historical requirements, not only here but other.
Because I was confused and I couldn't find an answer in any of their literature, even looking online and such.
I try to get wood out of turn for those guys too, but I mean, if I go through the spec sheet in there, and it basically says has the shadow bars, simulated divided lights, SDL, and basically, anyway, it should meet standard 4.33, but they will not be true divided light.
Okay, yes, but so going just back to the wood windows, it described it as wood clad somewhere.
That's all in that literature, which we should probably not even have. I asked them to send me some information, and that's what they said. So, and I've been unable to get any. They are not clad windows; it's all solid wood.
Okay.
Which is in the spec sheet
for your work.
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
natural pine, SBL.
Yeah, okay. Good, thank you, that answers that. And so this then gets to the window order forms, and you can see it does include the 12 lights on the top and 12 over 1, so that's also good. The other ones are all the same as the existing. I remember that from the photograph of the back of the house, right? Those
there's
6 pane windows.
Yeah, there's 13, and there'd be 12 on top.
Right.
There's 17 windows in total.
And there's apparently 2 that have the grills in both sashes. All right. Okay. Let's see what else. Now this is the information about the roof coating. So and the size of the area for that is the entire roof. In this case, the SHPO has provided a letter about the project. Primarily, so I should have highlighted the sections that are relevant. So I think the main question for this or from this letter is regarding replacing the roofing or not. And in here they suggest that they recommend repair of the roof via scraping and painting or possibly coating with an elastomeric roof coating product, which is now what they've changed the scope to do. So,
Isn't that a standing seam? It looked like in the picture, a standing seam.
Yes, metal roof.
And they're considered, want to replace it? Because
well, at first the proposal was to replace it, then they got this letter from SHPO. And so now they are
now we're going to coat it.
Now the proposal is to coating.
I wasn't involved in that. I had contract work, basically look at, the standing seam, and it's all pretty good condition, because we don't know if you have all those pictures.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place we want to seal it, because there's been a lot of work on the interior of the work, and I can't remember the name of the coating, but it's a 30-year warranty. Most of the damage in the house is due to the flashing of the chimneys. There are some areas of the roof that need to be patched and repaired to avoid any future use. Overall, the condition of the roof is.
Okay, the bottom line is the standing seam roof stays, it gets repaired and sealed. Okay.
All right, and then we dug up, or we had in file, the report from the structural engineer that was done back when, under the prior application back in 2023, where they identified a number of problems. The most consequential here are highlighted. To replace a crawl space entry door, to demolish and remove 3 chimneys, to build new brick piers along the right wall. So this application does not propose to remove the brick chimneys. How about the access door? Are you putting in a new access door?
I want that access door, to be honest with you. Well, to add that to the scope and what's to be issued. Well, I saw that simply over brick. And all kinds of dividing everything else. We'll put it all in the door.
Okay, when you talk, please come to the microphone. Thank you. All right, so
we'll replace the crawl space, put a crawl space door back in.
Okay.
To replace the existing one.
The next one was to build new brick piers along the right wall, which is, of course, the repair that they're doing for the foundation there. All exterior vinyl siding to be removed on the right exterior wall. Rebuild the right exterior wall. Vinyl siding is damaged loose at multiple locations. The windows are damaged, generally not operational. And those are the main points from that letter. and that letter included these photographs. You can see some structural problems underneath the floor and that corner again, and their estimate, I guess. So finally, before we have the zoning and inspections review, which is bigger. And here they say that it meets the requirements of the land use ordinance, and there's no change in footprint indicated, so zoning permit is not required. And the chief building inspector says that will require a building permit. So then I'm ready with the staff report when you are.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add? I think, okay, thank you. Are there any proponents or opponents to this project that wish to be heard? Seeing none, okay. Your report.
Okay. Oops, sorry. All right. So this is the report for 710 New Street. The historic property name is the Hudson House, built in 1925. It is a contributing resource, and the National Register inventory description from 2003 describes it as 1 story, 2 bays wide, 3 bays deep, 12 over 1 sash, hip roof porch, metal supports on brick piers, plain edge siding, metal clad hip roof, and interior chimney in the east roof slope, rear wing, beautiful irises in the front garden. So 1988 Sandbeck, he had none for this house. So the 710 New Street project is to include various modifications and replacements on all AVCs. Staff submits the following historic district guidelines as appropriate to this application. For utilities, 2.3.1, 2, and 3. For fences and garden walls, 2.5.6. That refers to the existing chain link fences. Need to have some vines or ivy or something on them. Design principles 3.1.2, 4, and 5. For modifications 3.2.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For foundations 4.1.1, 2, and 3. For walls, trim, and ornamentation 4.2.1, 2, 3, and 4. For windows, doors, and openings 4.3.1 and 3. For entrances 4.4.1, 2, and 4. For masonry 5.1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And for wood 5.2.1. And for paint 5.4.1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. For contemporary materials 5.5.4. For masonry maintenance 6.1.1, 2, 3, and 4. For wood maintenance 6.1.5, 6, and 7. For paint maintenance 6.1.11, 12, and 13. And prevention of demolition by neglect 6.2.2, 3, 4, and 5. Statements of reason based on the information contained in the application in staff's judgment are: 1, the structure is a contributing resource in the tight weave development pattern. 2, the project is structural repairs, maintenance, replacements, and mechanical system installation modifications on all AVCs. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, the project is not incongruous with the guidelines. So the HPC may want to consider the following conditions: that revised plans according to the changes agreed upon at the hearing shall be submitted by the applicant to the HPC staff for approval according to the guidelines and prior to the final inspection by the Building Inspections Division. Done.
Okay. Good deal. Okay, questions?
Yes. Is the vinyl being removed only on the one side or 4 sides?
4 sides. 4 sides. 4 sides. Yeah, I have a question on that. If there is significant damage under that vinyl to the wood siding, I assume it would be replacement in kind. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm going to go back. And by the way, I think we all appreciate the fact that you listened during the design review, and this design really reflects that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But going back to the very beginning, when you looked at the design elements, can you flick back to that one real quick?
Can I get an answer to my question?
Yes, I'm going there.
Oh, you're going there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You mean the scope of work?
Yes.
It says spray and paint.
But it says...
Yeah.
Yeah. It says any bad wood siding to be scraped of lead paint. And I think the question that the chairman asked is, if it's really bad wood, it's going to be replaced, not just scraped.
Is that true?
Correct? I think
That's my
bad wood
question.
here means just needs to be.
Some of that would appear to be significantly rotted.
There's rotten or broken wood, we'll have to replace that in time.
Okay.
The scraping is just, I mean, that's the requirement from lead abatement contractor. They have to scrape any paint off, and then they basically have to seal it to contain any lead dust.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically a primer is what they put on there. I don't know if it's a special primer or whatever. It just has to be sealed.
Okay.
Other questions?
Yes. Something that, Matt, you referenced 4.1.2, which is infilling between brick piers and recessing. But I'm not sure I understand, what is the foundation going to look like from outside? Is it going to be all brick? Is it going to be piers?
It'll be all, if you look at the left elevation, it'll be the same as that. I mean, the piers is basically the structural portion of the house. But basically, it'll match the left elevation.
So there'll be piers with infill.
Yeah.
The one where it had all the mud showing, right? Can't find it now. This one here, right? Oops.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the piers as much as just a solid.
No, there's piers.
It's not solid, it's all pier
I see
construction.
it. I see it. So you will recess between the
Can you
piers?
bring up the other elevation that has the wall that's not bowed out?
This is, okay.
Because there really was no,
That one there?
in the scope of work, there was no mention of the foundation.
Is that the one you want?
Well, there's one that had a better view of it from further away.
Like that?
I thought there was, maybe it was one of the newer pictures out there.
Oh.
There was a good picture of the left elevation that showed what.
So these are the most recent, these are the 2025 photos here. A little smaller.
It might be the new ones I sent you.
Oh.
It was just, there was no mention of how the foundation was to be restored in the scope of work.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it must be the motion.
No. Those are the only ones.
Yeah, it was in there before. It's, it'll match the left elevation.
Okay.
So to match the one that we've seen, like all covered with mud.
Those are the pictures that were taken in here. There's some other pictures I sent to you that
Yeah.
you showed. I don't know where they're at right now.
Okay.
I know they came up like 5 minutes ago. These are all the ones you're getting. These are all pictures you take. It's the one that doesn't, the picture that doesn't have all the flowers in it.
Right. But of the right side.
Yeah, there's pictures on the left side too. So I think you asked for pictures of all sides.
So that's these here. Here, there's the right side. So it starts on, so maybe I didn't add that one in.
I saw it tonight.
Surprisingly enough.
Anyway, it'll match the one elevation.
Okay.
I have a question. You include the chain link fence. Where's the chain link fence on the site?
So,
I don't remember seeing a photo of that.
there's some here in the back.
The back.
Or
Oh, I see.
also
Okay.
on the side. We don't actually even know whose it is necessarily.
Well,
So, oops. There's,
Scroll down to that next picture.
Oh, in between the
see that, and
properties?
there's chain link in
I see.
between,
Okay.
and then
I
there's
hadn't-
chain
I didn't
link
see
on the
that.
other side, so it seemed like it was this, on this property, because it was chain link all the way around. This is, the one out front's already removed, the chain link out front is removed.
parts of it's still there, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
And then, yes, I thought it was show it, but I'm pretty sure on the right side as well. So it seemed like their entire property, which is actually two parcels, is surrounded by chain link.
Thank you.
And since this chain link does continue across the front and not across the front of this one, you could probably guess that that chain link belongs to this subject property. Anyway.
What's the question?
I just had a question on the chain link. I didn't recall seeing it from the photos, and I wanted to get a placement of where it was.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions? No? Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, I move to find the application for 710 New Street to be not in congruous with New Bern's Code of Ordinance, Sections 15411 to 15429, and New Bern's Historic District Guidelines, based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Utilities, 2.3.1, 2, and 3. Fences and garden walls, 2.5.6. Design principles, 3.1.2, 4, and 5. Modifications, 3.2.1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Foundations, 4.1.1, 2, and 3. Walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.1, 2, 3, and 4. Windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.1 and 3. Entrances, 4.4.1, 2, and 4. Masonry, 5.1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wood, 5.2.1. Paint, 5.4.1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Contemporary materials, 5.5.4. Masonry maintenance, 6.1.1, 2, 3, and 4. Wood maintenance, 6.1.5, 6, and 7. Paint maintenance, 6.1.11, 12, and 13. And then prevention of demolition by neglect, 6.2.2, 3, 4, and 5. Statements of reason, the structure is a contributing resource in a tight weave development pattern. 2, the project is structural repairs, maintenance, replacements, and mechanical system installation modification and modifications on all AVCs. The proposed design, components, and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. The zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly, and the project is not incongruous with the guidelines. Just one condition, I would suggest that the foundation brick match the left side of the building.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the application with conditions stated. All in favor, state aye.
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 And I want to thank Mrs. Barrett for sticking with this, and thank you. Saved a house. Saved
a really nice house.
Yeah.
We need a motion for issuing the COA.
Motion to issue a COA.
So moved. First,
Second.
Moved and seconded to issue the COA. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Issue the COA.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Was that Liberty?
No, that was new.
New, okay.
Now we're doing Liberty.
Okay.
Great time to do it.
314 Liberty.
I want to just say to all of you, thank you very much. I'm the neighbor next door to the house that was pictured, and it has been a trial since Florence. Thank you for finally.
Thank you for being a good neighbor, too.
Thank you.
Okay, I am about to apologize for this first page of this application. Apparently, the fillable applications want to pick up all of the information from the first fillable one in the entire file. So despite the fact of importing the correct one, the PDF program changed it to the 302 Avenue A. However, I can attest that they have done that. I know it.
So all that's wrong is the address.
Well, I'm going to pull it up on my...
And Matt, the one I've downloaded is fine.
Yeah. So, wait, I have it here.
It was fine in separate download, but the other one it wasn't.
All right, here it is, 314 Liberty Street. Let me make sure this is the one that's signed. Yes. See how it's... Okay. Anyway, 314 Liberty Street. The owner is Reggie Barner, and he is the executive director, the interim executive director of the Housing Authority. The description of the work is attached. So are the guidelines and the detailed description of materials, check marks everywhere, and he is the owner and he signed it. They also, so this is then, now get rid of that. Go back to the other. So, we also have a owner's authorization for Stogner Architecture to represent them. And so is someone here from Stockton? All right. And that has been signed and notarized. So the description, detailed description here indicates A through J, provide new accessible walks and parking, provide new landscaping, new roof, new exterior painted board and batten siding, new brick veneer picture frame for future bas-relief installations, new windows and doors, pressure wash the exterior of the building, repair existing brick veneer and existing screening walls, provide new below-grade utility surfaces and supporting equipment, and provide new exterior mechanical equipment to be screened by existing brick screen or new ornamental fence and landscaping. And they reference the guidelines and the materials. And so here's our reference context aerial. The subject area is shown in the blue outline. They actually own all the property to the right and below lower right. And so the lines of the project do not align with the property lines. So let's see, what else is to see? So then they have a private driveway along this top edge here, separating them, and a chain link fence separating them from the new construction on Liberty Street we approved a couple of years ago, and also the existing buildings that have been here for a long time. And then to the right and to the lower right is the edge of Trent Court and the housing units there. And then across the street is a series of mostly vacant lots, except there is one house directly across the street from the site. Oh, and the historic district boundary goes down the middle of the street, essentially. So that house on the other side is not in the historic district, but everything else is. So that's an up-close and personal view if we need it. So here are some photographs taken recently. This is the front with, there's essentially, say, three different blocks here, the one on the left and the one on the right, and then down the middle, the one on the right. And all of these have these shed roofs as opposed to gables. And here we can see from the corner, looking back, again, the kind of the one-story end of the shed roof here, facing the street. And the very large tree there on the corner. And then two shed roofs meeting in the middle with a low area in between on the left side, and the parking area, existing parking area. And again, a lot of chain link here that's all to be removed. And now this is from the back looking towards the building. This area here in the grass is to become parking. You'll see in the plans. And there's a much wider view here, and you can see the walkway for the residential units on the left and the private driveway here on the right. And then a view through to the back side, the paved area behind the building. Then from the street again, zipping all the way around back to the street and looking at the space and the area between the building and the adjacent housing. If you have any questions about that, this is primarily occupied by a large brick wall that has some outdoor space between, enclosing some outdoor space there on that side of the building. And that's as you get closer, that wall continues back. And then the new fence for the generator will continue past the end of this brick wall. So here is Stogner's presentation that we've seen a couple times now. You can see already, first thing is to remove the chain link, provide the dumpster enclosure. We'll see a drawing of that. Provide new siding and washing the exterior of the building. Pretty much more of the same here with providing a new ornamental gate, access to the courtyard in between there, and some new exterior lighting, wall packs. Then washing some more of the same again, now an accessible parking space with curb ramp and signage, and improved landscaping at the building foundation. Let's see, again, improved landscaping. I'll point out the new things. New windows. There'll be the bronze aluminum storefront, new roof shingles, and removing commercial rooftop ventilation pieces there. Restore the soffit, new gutter and downspout, which will be aluminum. New siding with a smooth cement board, batten and painted. Let's see, okay, we have all this. Infill existing window at the front. Provide new lighting, wall packs, already said that. Replace warped and rotten fascia and wrap the fascia with pre-finished metal. New insulated metal entry door. Remove artificial surfacing. That must be the ground, outdoor ground surface. Restore peekaboo wall. And let's see, nothing new there. Remove remainder of overgrowth from utility lines. Remove unnecessary concrete areas. Provide new sidewalk. Provide new door insulated metal painted. restore soffit. Infill existing door opening with new wood framing and new siding. I think we talked about that at the design review meeting. Provide new rigid insulation, white PVC membrane roof. Replace warped and rotten fascia. Have that too. Remove commercial rooftop ventilation, remove through vents to secondary area of visual concern, or relocate, sorry, through vents to secondary area of visual concern. Provide new roof shingles, 3-tab architectural shingles. Wash masonry mechanical courtyard enclosure. Provide additional drainage weeps through wall. And locate HVAC equipment within courtyard and behind landscaping or on roof in a concealed location. Okay, so here we have the plans. And I think, so since the design review, the generator area has been solidified. It's now going to be, the full area will be concrete pad, and the ornamental fence will go around, and there's a gate here in this corner. Otherwise, I think nothing else has changed. Yes. So we still have that one, this one window panel is still to be infilled to provide stacking for the folding doors, or not stacking, but attachment. Oops. So, sorry. So now we're going to go to this is essentially the roof plan with the walls shown underneath. Then this is the site plan now. So with this, so here you can see how the grassy area becomes a parking lot, and then at the corner of the parking lot is the dumpster, and the dumpster enclosure. The new paving for that, and the new paving for the driveway to the parking lot. The pad for the generator and the fencing, and then the new concrete pad and sidewalk is pointed out everywhere with this medium gray color that's speckled. There's a new curb and gutter near that tree, and then also around the grassy area here at the entrance to the parking. And new, so that that concrete area behind the building will all be apparently ripped up and replaced with some sidewalks. Some of the parking area is there, and then some green lawn area as well. And there's new concrete steps out front with a handrail. I think that's it. All right. Then the next one is the landscape plan. So this shows basically new plantings around the front of the building. All these darker areas are various different kinds of plants. Then rounding the corner, some plants there as well. The large tree is to remain there. And then there's some trees here at the new entrance to the driveway, and on the other side of the driveway, between that and the path to the dumpster. Then there'll be some new plantings along the back of the building, in the grassy area, the green area that was shown, and then around to the end and down, also around to the fencing for the generator, and then some trees along the parking lot and some shrubs. Let's see, what's that? So here's a colorized elevation of the front. So Here's the board and batten. Instead of horizontal siding, it's board and batten here. And the roofing is the new asphalt shingles. Let's see, this is the existing brick wall. So none of that's really changed except for one of the windows has been filled in and the board and batten. Then on the left elevation, so the front is out to the right. There's a new gate to be added. That chain link fencing is removed, and that's pretty much it. You can see some of the board and batten on the tall part of the building that's behind here with all of its clerestory, essentially windows up there. Then the rear elevation is relatively unchanged except for the plantings that are here, and then that one window that is to be blocked out. Are you using spandrel glass now? Are you using spandrel glass now for that? For that, where you're closing up that window on the back?
We were planning on using the same material as the sidings, the board and batten, to cover that up, that small area where we're covering up.
All right. So that doesn't show here, but then, so one of these panels will look like board and batten?
Yeah, it's the one to the left.
Oh, this one over here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's just we just haven't changed it there because we're figuring out the exact size we need with the structural.
Okay, and on the left here, this is the rendering of the ornamental fencing that you can't see at the scale. There we go. Is more than just a black wall. So that's that. And this kind of demonstrates the size of the generator itself. Looking over that. Oh no, what did I do? There we go. Sorry. What else is on here? That's it. Okay. So then the right elevation, which is the one facing the housing on the side. This is that existing brick wall. They're going to be putting in a new ornamental wood gate here, not wood, ornamental metal gate here. And then this is the fencing for the generator here. And all that vertical board and batten siding and new roofing. And clean brick, right? And this is a section through the building at the entrance, so that you can see the bas-relief piece here, and then the board and batten and such behind it, or around it, sorry. Here's a sketch of the trash enclosure. So it's entirely surrounded by brick on four sides with this gate on the front also. And the brick wall is capped by concrete. And then these are the sketches of the side of the fence and indicating the 3-inch maximum spacing between the vertical pieces, and then a detail of the stairway and handrail. Okay, then we have the Z&I form. So for 314 Liberty Street, it's in R6, but it's an existing building. And the zoning administrator has indicated that it does not meet the requirements of the land use ordinance. So this is the wrong one again. Wait, oh no. A special use permit is required for this because it's changing the use from one to another. So this is correct. And then the chief building inspector has indicated that it will require a building permit.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, similar to one of the other projects that you've seen tonight, we have virtually the same issue.
Yeah.
And you may want to have some discussion about whether you can move forward in processing the COA tonight without the other entitlements in place.
Yeah. Everybody understand the question?
I think it's difficult to do it for one and not the other.
I'd agree.
On the other hand, the footprint is staying the same, is it not?
Yeah, the building footprint itself.
Building footprint is the same. It's a question of what goes where. Other opinions?
If we don't have zoning approval, I believe that's supposed to stop the process.
Yeah.
So we were also under the impression, because we've spoken to Kendrick, we were also under the impression that we were going to submit this for you guys to approve first, and then once you guys approve it, then Kendrick and them will get all the...
Yeah, I don't dispute what you're saying, but you've heard our attorney, and it's not supposed to happen this way.
Yeah. And we've turned other people down. I think you sat here tonight and heard that.
So we have to get the site check reviewed by them, and then we go back to you guys?
It's a Board of Adjustment hearing, a hearing like this.
Yeah, because we were planning on our schedule to go to them for the review for all the special permits. We have it down for the 6th and the 18th of next month. So then we have to wait until we get all of that worked out with them, and then we go back to you guys the month after.
So the 18th is before the next meeting, or after?
Yeah, the 16th
That's after.
is a meeting.
Yeah, 16th is the next meeting with you guys. But the for the special permits and all the departmental site review, theirs is on the 18th.
Yeah.
The 18th of July?
I believe so. Let me verify.
They're not going to meet on a Friday evening, I wouldn't think.
They may have a June meeting this month, right?
That's the next meeting of the Board of Adjustment is next week, which that deadline has already passed. The immediate next meeting of the Board of Adjustment, according to the online meeting schedule, is July 24th.
So it's going to set you back 2 months then on this project.
Actually, on here, it says the departmental site plan review is also on July 16th.
Yeah, that's a different animal.
Well, I think that was going to include all our, that was related to the special use permit that we need, correct?
Well, you probably have to have that for departmental review as well.
Yeah, so that's what we were all going to go for that meeting. And that's why we were also under the impression that we would get the approval from you guys, so then they can approve what we wanted to give them. Okay.
I think as an aside, they need some feedback that they shouldn't be telling people to come here when they don't have that approval.
Or change the policy.
Or change what?
Or change the policy.
Or change the policy, yeah.
But is it a policy, or can we issue an approval for something where they may not be able to do it? That's the real issue. Yet they have our approval, but they can't do it.
But they can't do it.
Well, they've gone through the process with us now. It's a shame to make them come back and do the same process again. They just need to go to the next step.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know why it came to us today if it wasn't in the sequence, proper sequence. And now that they're here, I feel like we should.
Although you would hope that the next time they come here, it'll be a much abbreviated presentation, and I would think that our staff administrator could put them at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
But I think, it's really a Board of Adjustment issue to give us the okay to go ahead, to say that, yes, you have the right to do this.
So I need a motion and a vote.
I move we continue this hearing to the August, I guess.
It'd be August.
They can't meet until July.
No, we don't.
21st.
20th, for the August 20th HBC meeting in this room at 5:30 PM, in order for you to obtain zoning approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We continue this project till August 20th, et cetera. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry.
We're trying to not have you last, however.
Yeah, we'll put you on first.
You've had last
Okay.
twice, 2 meetings now.
Okay, since this is getting resumed, you said on August, any feedbacks on what we have today would have to wait until then?
Yes.
We gave you feedback at design review.
We gave you feedback in design.
Yeah.
I didn't see any significant.
You can always come back for more.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if there was anything else we need from this review other than getting all the application special permits figured out. So, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know of any old business public comments. If there are any, I'm going to suggest they be very brief because we've had a very long meeting.
Hi, and thank you again for your time. I'd like to reiterate that it would be very helpful and I know appreciated by many, as well as entirely in your purview, if this board would take a leadership position and begin a publicly inclusive process to update the HPC guidelines and their application to better serve the community. There are a lot of people willing to help. Tonight I have 3 questions. I'll be brief. I have a general question about how quasi-judicial boards ensure their decision-making processes remain fair and impartial. As a community member under this board's authority, I value transparency and objectivity, so understanding this process is important to me. In a recent discussion, the board considered a project involving the partial removal of vinyl siding, approximately 25% on one side of the house for repairs, with plans to replace it with matching vinyl. However, one member seemed very opposed to vinyl replacement, and after it was pointed out that the state was funding the project, the board's decision shifted. The board ultimately required the removal of all the vinyl siding, mandating either the repair or replacement of the original siding, which likely adds significant costs borne by the taxpayers for lead abatement and additional repairs. Additionally, the extra funding required for this project likely takes help away from the next people in the NCORE line. Throughout the discussion, phrases such as, "it wouldn't hurt my feelings," "do the right thing," and "our inclination" were used. The apparent influence of personal preference and funding consideration raises concerns about adherence to legal and ethical standards. I request clarification on how the board will ensure its decisions remain impartial, evidence-based, and in the interest of the community as a whole. Do you care to answer that question?
Not tonight, no.
Okay, thank you. 2 other very short questions. Committee meetings have not followed North Carolina open meeting law. I understand that committee meetings are now being put on pause, but they're still listed on your website without required calendars or minutes. Do you have any plans to resolve or restart committee meetings, and will they involve the public?
There will be, and we'll let you know at the time.
On the website?
However we normally do it.
That's the HPC chair's responsibility, but thank you.
Yes, it is.
And then my last question is, you may recall that I was insistent on confirming my documents from the last meeting were received. They were confirmed received, and I was told that they would be part of the public record, which includes being added to the document packet. My documents still aren't there. I'm looking for some insight into how information is properly being provided to the public and not suppressed. That's also the HPC chair's responsibility.
Mr. Chair, in the spirit of being helpful, public documents are maintained by the city. Just because a document is not published on the internet does not mean that it's not available to the public.
That's right. Anybody can
That's the answer.
comments in, doesn't mean that they have to be distributed as part of the packet.
So I'm better off posting them on the website, the Facebook page.
You heard the answer.
Okay. All right. So thank you for your time, and I will post them on Dear New Bern HPC Facebook page for the public to actually see what's happening.
Sure.
Thanks for your transparency.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question to the board.
Can you identify yourself, please?
Excuse me?
Can you identify yourself?
I'm Mr. DePeza.
Who are you?
Mr. DePeza.
Okay.
I don't know what training you'll have had, but is anyone on the board here, or is the board a member of the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions?
Yes, the whole board is.
Okay. Have you gone through the training? Have you been to camp?
Not camp, no, we've done other trainings.
Okay. Is there any plan to send anyone to camp so that you understand exactly what best practices are?
We don't have the budget to send anyone to anywhere.
Well, is that something maybe you should be looking into?
You can ask the alderman.
Okay. And are you aware of what are considered best practices in terms of reviewing materials every 5 years?
Repeat your question.
According to the National Alliance of Preservation Commission, a HPC responsibility and best practices is that you should be reviewing materials every 5 years.
Okay.
Because you should be looking at materials for resiliency and for sustainability, particularly with climate change. Yeah.
Okay.
I have not seen a review or a change in materials list in 10 years.
No. Thank you for your
you are not following best practices.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I would like to, maybe the next meeting you could explain how you're going to improve.
Can you state your address, please?
Okay. Revisions to Historic District Principles and Standards. We've had some discussion of the board, and I've used the phrase that we're going to use the normal process for changing our guidelines and standards. There are a number of us who haven't been through that process. And so I've asked some of the older members to give me a more specific detail of what that involves. And I'd like to review that so everybody's familiar with it. And I assume old folks like you will comment if I've deviated from what you've done in the past.
Absolutely.
Okay. The first step would be to summarize the various changes that have been suggested over the last several years in various meetings. And I think all of you at one time or another have been exposed to why don't we change this or that. Those comments have been retained. Our resident retainer of those kind of things has been Tripp. The second step in the process is to review all the potential changes at an HPC meeting so everybody knows what's on the board in terms of potential changes. We will then have a series of meetings with various groups in the community to get suggestions for other potential changes. In the past, the groups that we have included are Hydra and similar groups within the historic district, Swiss Bear, downtown businesses, local attorneys, realtors, developers, and contractors, and others. So it's a fairly broad process to get input. A committee, and I'm not sure if it was called the Guidelines Update Committee in the past, I'm not sure what it was, but a committee of board members and administration have taken those various inputs and considered them, considered the appropriateness, the need, the formulation of the wording for proposed revisions to the guidelines, and the completed project is given in draft form to all the HPC members and published online prior to the public HPC meeting in which they will be on the agenda for adoption. Public input will be heard at that meeting. Guidelines changes will be voted upon. We expect this process, as has happened in the past, will take approximately a year. So it's beginning now in the next month or so, and we'll come to conclusion in about a year. The approved version is forwarded to the Planning Commission for their approval, and then goes to the aldermen. And inherent in this, I should mention at the outset, the board over the years has chosen not to make piecemeal changes to the guidelines. This one, and sending them to the aldermen, one a month or whatever, and to do it in one fell swoop, if you will. And that's what we're looking at in the next year. Any comments from those of you who have been around for a good long while?
Yeah, just a few more details. What we did in 2006, it was 14, 15, 16. I mean, it was a huge effort to update not only the guidelines, but the rules of procedure and the what we call the preservation ordinance, the part of the city ordinance.
Yeah.
So we did have numerous workshops. We had a workshop with Preservation North Carolina. Myra Coward came and spent time with us an entire afternoon, going through a lot of details and updating the guidelines, the intent of state statutes. For those of you who might not know, Myrick helped to write the original state statutes on preservation back in the 80s and 90s. He's been heavily involved in that. We had several phone conversations with the Institute of Government. I remember in particular David Owens. He was considered the leading expert on land use law in North Carolina. So he was very helpful in guiding us forward. We had a workshop with the State Historic Preservation Office. They were gracious enough to come here and meet with us, I think, for basically an entire day. We reviewed the guidelines with them, and they made suggestions, and that was very helpful. We worked extensively with the city attorney, because one of the things that we wanted to do, we wanted the city attorney to review the guidelines and rules of procedure, and we had SHPO also review the guidelines and rules of procedure as far as our final issue. And Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the state statutes have changed so that now a municipality can allow the HPC to make guideline changes, and the HPC can approve those changes. But what we did here in New Bern, I had extensive conversations with Scott Davis, the city attorney, when he was in the process of updating the ordinances. And I convinced him that it was a good idea for the HPC not to have sole authority on updating the guidelines, because we wanted to provide some opportunities for input from the community. So we kept the process as it was before, that we followed back in 2016, which is the HPC has to have at least one public hearing. We typically have more than that. We will approve the guideline document. That guideline document then goes to planning and zoning. They have a chance to review it and accept public input, and then they make a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen. Then the Board of Aldermen has a public hearing. So there are a number of steps here, not only from our forums that the HPC holds, but also official public hearings for input. And that was the big thing, is to have several opportunities, formal public hearings where people could make comments on the guidelines.
Good. Very good. Pretty thorough process.
Yes.
Okay. One other, no, not really. I'm sorry?
It's the
Well,
chair.
It's not up to me, it's the chair.
Yeah. It wasn't a debate.
It's not a debate, but the aldermen the process does require an alderman vote. It's not something that we were chose to do. It actually is a
Mr. Chair.
requirement.
Jamie, could you clarify that?
Mr. Chair, respectfully, you all have been using a printed agenda this evening, and the time for general public comment has concluded.
Yeah.
So at this point, this is the board's discussion about the process that you just espoused, that I think Mr. Thompson just expanded upon. So it may be appropriate at this moment to refocus the board's attention on the agenda item that we're on, so that we can proceed in the board's discussion.
I agree totally.
And I do have one comment, if you agree. The last time, it was a complete rewrite, absolutely complete. And I think now, at least in my opinion, we're closer to looking at this guideline, that guideline, and say we're standard, and saying, can we
We're not
do
inventing
this?
the whole thing.
Yeah, because it included the narratives and all that, and they did a great job.
Okay, the next item, there are, I guess, 3 members leaving. The one's already left, Mark is left, and there's somebody appointed for him?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's somebody appointed for me, and he'll be joining you at the next meeting, I believe there is.
Yes.
He told me he was appointed, so
He
I...
was,
Last night? Yeah, okay, he was.
Yes.
I don't know the status of Tripp's replacement.
I don't need, so far, no one yet, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, so who's on now?
Tripp is another one
Who got
rotating.
appointed in your spot?
Ross Beebe.
Ross Beebe, yeah.
And John Schmid actually was already a member.
Yes.
Because he was appointed
To fill it out, though.
Yes.
There's 2, the mayor has one, and somebody else.
Well, and Molly is yet to be reappointed.
Molly's reappointed, okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, not
We'll
yet.
see it.
To
We'll
be.
see it.
All those in
Alderman, yes.
Okay. So, and all that heads to, in the July meeting then, there'll be elections, and there'll be probably three new members at that point in time, at least 2. So that's all up to you to handle that. It's been nice. Okay, Matt, your report?
The main one is that first we had quite a slew of minor COAs issued since the last time, which was 2 months ago. But that's mostly thanks to Robert, who was filling my seat while I was gone. So he managed to get a lot out then. Nevertheless, we still have about 15 to go. Let's see, the big one is highlighted here in green, is that we have been able to successfully remove a particular structure from the demolition by neglect cases that went as far as to the chief building inspector and a what do they call that? Order of the building inspector filed with the county courts. So the house was then sold to a new owner, and that new owner went right in and was doing all the renovations, and we've even had a couple of COA applications here for that. And some minors as well. So now it was finally completed a month or 2 ago, and so it's ready to be removed from the list. So
was that the next door to the house, the lady that came one evening and talked about C Street? There were 3 houses in a row.
Yeah, there's 3 houses, but it's the first one of the 3.
And I think she lives there and keeps her house up.
Oh,
she
right.
was concerned about this house.
But I think she lives on the other side of the street, correct? Yeah. So, because the other two are owned by two people, the other two are owned by a couple that are very slowly doing the renovations that they need to do. So, on their two houses.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So.
One down.
All right.
Is that it?
Yes, I guess so.
Okay. Anything else for the good group? All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Before we adjourn, I just want to thank our commissioners who have been here for so long. I was talking to Jim, he said he's been here 8 years, half of which as chair. That's notable. And Tripp's
Some of
been
these
here
guys
forever,
have been
too.
longer.
He's still around though.
He's still around.
When he leaves, I'll talk to him then. And so,
Haven't gotten rid of me yet.
thanks to Jim, Tripp, you've been here for what, 6 years? This go around?
This go around. This go around.
Tripp has had multiple tour of duties going all the way back to, the early 2000s.
I think that the city and the community appreciate all you guys' hard work.
My prediction is don't throw away Tripp's name tag.
I got them, yeah.
All right.
So there's a motion and a
So
second.
do we need a motion to adjourn?
Oh, we got it, I think. All in
Okay.
favor, state aye.
Aye.
Who was the motion? Who did the motion?
Jim did the motion.
Somewhere that's
Jim.
on the table.
Jim.
Jim.
All right. Gotcha. And 9:16.
I'm hungry.